Welcome to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go, a look at modern and retro games with a dark sense of humor. Introducing your hosts, Steve.
Well, I'm a wreck now.
Harry.
Put it in my mouth.
Clark.
That man had one testicle and hit home runs, goddammit.
And Joe.
This went off the rails very quickly.
Let's start the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast. Go! To my left this evening, Mr. Steve.
It's bingo night.
Across from me, Joe.
What's up?
To the right of me, Mr. Clark.
Show me the champion of light.
And I'll show you the Herald of Darkness. That's right, I'm going to be your host this evening for the legendary Alan Wake 2. But before we get into the episode this evening, a word from our sponsor.
Deep Creek Glassworks.
Deep Creek Glassworks.
You all know, since 2013, Deep Creek Glassworks has been making handcrafted, durable, awesome glass stuff for you. Whether it be pendants, glasses, maybe some drink stirs, maybe some ornaments. Who knows? It's a little bit of everything. But you can find out when you visit deepcreekglassworks.com, work spelled W-O-R-X, or their Etsy. I do that like every fucking time.
Etsy!
Check out the Etsy.
Yeah, take some Molly and then go check out their Etsy.
W-O-R-X-E!
See, there we go. We brought it around. And if you use our promo code SUPERFUN, you will receive 10% off of your first purchase. And it'll come to you in a crush-resistant box with free shipping. Free shipping. So do yourself a favor.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that is the thing. Support small business. Go to deepcreekglassworks.com. Work spelled W-O-R-X. Today.
Boom. Today. Well, all right. How do we do this? It's been a
Initial
while.
impressions.
Initial impressions. Who here has not played Alan Wake 1?
I have not.
Joe, let's get your initial impressions.
Well, good news is I set out this one, so I didn't feel obligated to try and squeeze in playing the first one first. I did listen to the episode when you guys reviewed it 7 years ago, probably at this point.
Yeah. It was really early on in the podcast.
Long time ago.
That's pretty much my only familiarity with the series.
Wow.
right.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
all right.
That's
Fair enough.
that's fair. Steve, what is your initial impression?
Yeah, so I did not watch any trailers or read anything when the announcement came because I knew as soon as Harry saw this, it was definitely going to be on the docket. So I'm like, I'm just going to go in blind and let's see where this takes us. And yeah, we went on one hell of a journey.
This is true. Mr. Clark?
We talked about it in the original podcast, but Harry and I played the first game together, and I missed that this time playing that. Like, I missed like sitting there and being like, oh, like at certain moments with like a buddy, or like laughing. But man, this game, I think it lived up to everything that was getting hyped up for it, and like what Remedy has been building towards.
Terrific. All right. So, geez, I don't even know where to start. Huge fanboy of Alan Wake 1.
What? No.
It's probably in one of my like top 10 lists of games of all time. Just blown away by how amazing that game was. And I'll be honest, I didn't think they were ever going to get around to making an Alan Wake 2. It just seemed like it was just getting buried further and further, and just like it became so irrelevant, and just like, does anybody care anymore?
But then
did
a light in the
Control-
darkness.
A light in the darkness.
Did Control coming out reinvigorate that?
I think so.
Well, they made a DLC. There's
Right.
an Alan Wake DLC, and that was kind of like, sorry, this starts to go.
Well, they
into,
reference it in the
into
original
development.
game before the Alan Wake DLC, even though.
Yeah, they make reference to it, but
Right.
that's because the whole universe is
Right.
the same.
You know, in a lot of ways, I think we can thank the Avengers for this, because I think it was that that
I'm okay with this. Like I'm not okay with a lot of the other like multiverse things that are going on, but like Spider-Man multiverse and the Remedyverse, I'm here for 100%.
Scratchy where you itch.
Yes, scratch me.
scratch. Yeah. Does he even know?
He might not.
No.
That makes no sense to him.
Scratch is like the bad guy in this.
Nice.
Great pun without
Got
knowing
him.
that you were making a pun.
I-
Joe is so meta.
I'm not going to linger on initial thoughts too much because I think a lot of it's going to come out in our discussion tonight.
Yeah.
So why don't we just move? Let's shine a light on in game development.
Game development.
I'm looking forward to all of these segues tonight.
I forgot about segues. It's been a while. I was like,
have
oh God,
I have one that you could use.
No, it's always great to watch them struggle.
it is part of the recording process.
It really is.
Yeah.
Whoever's in the hot seat for the night. Oh fuck. All right. So game development. I've watched a lot of videos. Just people like talking about like the Remedy universe. Just talking about the Alan Wake timeline. I watched like a 50-minute video where they tie everything from the Remedy universe together. But really, honestly, the development for this game started immediately after Alan Wake 1 released 13 years ago.
Wow.
They've tried to pitch several ideas now, and just nothing has stuck. When they went to Microsoft, they were like, "Hey, we have this idea. We want to roll like immediately in Alan Wake 2." And Microsoft was like, "Nah, we kind of want like a new IP," which is what led to it's a game I never played of theirs.
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break. Thank you. With Sean Ashmore, who played Iceman in the X-Men series.
And who plays Tim Breaker in this?
Yes, he plays Tim Breaker in this, and you'll see they like using certain people, and they're trying to tie in some other characters.
Well, they don't own Quantum Break. They're having trouble with the licensing. So that's why Tim Breaker's character in Quantum Break basically he can flash through different like parallel dimensions.
Okay.
And in this game, he's the sheriff. And how far did you get, Steve?
I want to say roughly about half, if not just a little past. But I know of Tim. Yeah.
So you know when he disappears from the morgue?
Yeah.
He does that in Quantum Break as like short little bursts to get through levels and things like that.
Oh.
In this, he disappears and goes into the dark place.
The dark place, and they
Yes.
just keep finding him in random fucking
Yeah.
places.
And it makes sense. We're not in story yet, but it makes sense why he's trailing Mr. Door, the character.
Yes.
I think they're still trying to acquire that license, but I think they're gonna rope it in at some point. They're just doing the background building
Yeah.
for now.
Speaking of, also, this is the game that has almost got every single person from the Remedyverse in it. Like, all the main characters were almost in this game. It's only missing one.
And they really laid it on
really
thick
tried.
for one.
Yeah, they really tried. Jesse from Control.
What about the janitor?
Oh, sorry.
Autism-
I was talking about Max Payne. Like, in a lot of ways, Casey...
Well, yeah, Alex Casey is Max
Game
Payne.
development.
It's the yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know.
Well, yeah, but
it's
like,
kind of. It
it's-
kind of. They're
talking about the other
I
game.
know.
They're they're actively building this Remedy universe.
Yeah.
And they put a lot of groundwork in this game to like really kind of start setting like the foundation for where they're
Right.
going.
I was kind of figuring if we talked about the outside games here,
Yeah.
we can focus on the actual Alan Wake 2 story
No, that makes sense.
instead of like the multiverse.
Yeah.
But Jessie's not in this at all. She's not represented in this at all either. She's the main character
Yep.
from Control.
Yeah.
And that's I think they're trying to build separate identities right now.
For sure. But you have Alex Casey, who's Max Payne, and you have Tim Breaker, who's I forget the actual character's name in Quantum Break. But you have those two characters that are the parallels. Remedy does now own the Max Payne license. They finally got it back. It was sadly after this. But Alex Casey, the guy that plays Alex Casey is Sam Lake, who's the creator of Alan Wake. He was the original face for Max Payne. And they have the original voice actor for Max Payne doing Alex Casey's voice in this.
Like he is the embodiment of Max Payne.
It is Max. It's Max Payne.
It's Max Payne without being Max Payne.
Without the bullet time as well, which I think they're going to start.
Yeah. Like, it just makes sense that, like, where they're going. Like, I could just see the writing on the wall. You have to shine a light on it.
Yeah.
But it's there.
and then you get an upgrade.
I, for one, I'm going to, like, eagerly play. Like, they're remaking Max Payne 1 and 2. And I'm, like, going to eagerly play those because I know they are going to slip in stuff about Control and Alan Wake.
Absolutely.
And maybe even Alex Casey.
They might. They could be partners or something like that. Like,
Oh, good for them.
I don't know.
well, yeah, that would be weird. They look exactly the same, sound exactly the same. Just
Right.
anyway. So the development started 13 years ago. They got sidetracked over and over again.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
This guy.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's like I'm stuck in a loop or something.
It's been in development for 13 years and they got sidetracked.
Yeah, and what also hindered them is Alan Wake sales were never like great. Like it was like barely squeaking by. I think it was just the re-release that they did where they actually made their money back.
Yeah.
But I know when they re-released it, like what was it, PS5 like a year or two ago, something like that.
Within the last year.
It sold a lot this time around re-releasing it. I don't know if that was the hype for Alan Wake 2 like being announced, or I think that this game was like had like a real soft launch, but I think it's built like a cult following, and I think it's just built up momentum over the years.
And it had critical success.
Yes.
It didn't have like the monetary success right off the bat, but like even like the critics, as soon as the game came out, the first one this is, like all the critics were like, this could be game of the year. It just never got the popularity to be game of the year.
To be that, yeah.
Yeah.
We should mention, so we're recording this one a little late, but they did just have the Game Awards for the year, and I believe they won 3 awards for this game.
At least, but yeah, they were just
like game direction, like narrative.
Basically, they won the 3 that Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I was just
going
to say all the stuff that Baldur's Gate did win.
Yeah, Max Payne or Alan Wake 2 cleaned up.
Oh shit, Clark's stuck.
It's happening.
I knew it.
So similar to Alan Wake 1, it's speculated that this didn't do great in sales so far. I think they're estimating around 150,000 units.
Jesus, really? That's it for this?
Yeah, because they haven't announced any sales figures yet.
It's only been out a month.
Yes.
At this
Yeah.
point. Also.
Yeah.
Well, a month or two. It was
Month and
end
a
of
half.
October?
End of October, so like a month and a half.
Okay, like a month and a half.
In general, though, Remedy hasn't had a great track record for sales figures. They have great track record for scores on their game. Like they're all really high scores.
Well, Control. I think Control is their highest selling game of all time.
I think it's Max Payne 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That could be the case. I'm curious. I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah. So a couple other things about the sales figures, aiming for about 850,000 units so far. They haven't released anything official. Still kind of waiting on that. So with the characters, there was a character that they fully intended to bring back in this game, which is Alice Wake, which is Alan's wife. The first game ends with her climbing out of the lake as he's basically going into the lake. It was like a fair exchange. I mean, there's principles behind the darkness where you have to have it's
1 for 1.
Yeah, like a 1 for 1. Like you can't just write yourself out of the horror. Like there has to be there's rules.
There has to be a sacrifice for it. Yeah.
So she gets out, and they fully intended to include her in the story. The actor who played Alice, or like the voice actor, she did pass away from, I think she had like brain cancer.
Oh, wow.
Or something like
Jeez.
that. So they did have to get a new character to play Alice Wake for this.
Max Payne 1 sold 4 million as of 2022, and Control sold 3.
Oh, okay. Oh! This is the other thing.
Yeah.
So the Remedy is based out of Finland. I think they spent 70 million euros on this game, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 70 or 90 million euros. It is quite possibly the most expensive cultural project that has come out of Finland ever.
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's cool
Yeah.
though. Like, Finns be proud. Like, this is a fucking fantastic thing that's happening.
And there's a lot of culture in this game, like just baked into it with the characters
Yeah.
and like the setting.
Well, Odin and Thor, and,
Yeah.
and, like, they really pay homage to
And there's some like songs and
the main character's name is fucking Saga. Like,
Yeah. I mean, hopefully.
how do you get more Viking than that? Like,
I'm sure they'll hit the sales so they can finish great.
This guy. Fucking rim shot.
Joe, where are you going?
All right. Well, let's scratch some notes and talk some story.
Story.
All right. So, actually, full disclosure before we do this synopsis, it's a page and a half, and it's shitty. Like it just scratches the surface. No pun intended, actually, on that one. It does not do a great job of really summarizing this game. So it's just going to gloss the surface. We're going to get deep into the certain aspects of the story. 13 years after the events of Alan Wake 1, people who have been missing for the past 13 years start reappearing from the lake. Saga Anderson and Casey...
Alex Casey.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I wrote Casey Jones.
I like where this game is going.
Oh, fuck, there's turtles.
Saga Anderson...
Out of the lake, you hear.
Saga Anderson and Alex Casey are called to Bright Falls to investigate the appearances and cult-like activity in the town. It quickly becomes apparent that the force of darkness still has a sway over the town. Meanwhile, within the dark place, Alan Wake continues his fight to find a way out. Through the influence of Alan's plot devices and Saga's mind place, the two heroes aim to manipulate the dark place and its influence as the dark place fights to alter reality. While there are those a generation ago that have fought the darkness with their own form of art, the darkness has eroded each champion one by one. Yet there is still hope as a new generation picks up the fight where these have left off. The game concludes with Saga and Alan uniting their efforts by agreeing on a story's end. Yet this only continues the loop. But Alan comes to realization that it's not a loop, but a spiral. It's not until after the credits that we discover Alan's wife, the one Alan sacrificed himself to in order to free. I just butchered this.
Start again.
No, I'm not reading it again. It's just a bad written sentence. So Alice has the newly found realization that through her own art form of photography, that to break the cycle cannot be done just by destruction, but through transcendence. So again, there is so much I left out. I didn't even mention the AWE or any characters really.
That
like
control, like the
like
FBCs
there's just
in this entire game.
The FBC, there's so much shit.
yeah, there's just
a
so
lot.
much going on.
It's very plot thick,
Oh, it's thick.
multi-layered incredibleness.
Sorry, real quick. I do want to just touch on some things that happen just to really set up the discussion for tonight.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the final chapter?
We could briefly touch on it. I didn't play it.
I saw it. I watched it.
I saw watch the ending, but
yeah, I was curious because it does not change the actual game. It's just an extension of the final cutscene.
no, I thought you find photographs throughout the game. I think they're sprinkled in.
Yeah, but it.
All right.
All right. How are you setting this up for us, Harry?
All right. So, I kind of want to talk about some of the events that happened pre-Alan Wake 1, and then a rough overview of Alan Wake 1, and then we get into the characters before we talk about Alan Wake 2.
No, dude, we can't.
I just have a feeling this discussion is going to be very tough without some. All right, well, okay.
Stop now. Listen to Alan Wake 1. Get the synopsis there, because we talk about pre-Alan Wake there too, with Thomas Zane and Jagger, and
Okay.
they're all mentioned there. Like the most of the Thomas Zane stuff.
Okay, fine. Well,
Is
let's
Alan
let's
Wake
start.
1.
Let's start with characters then, and it'll kind of build some of that.
Sure.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
first of all, I do want to talk about this original crew that knew about the darkness and have been actively fighting against it. And I'm talking about Cynthia Weaver, who is the Lady of the Light, Tor and Odin Anderson, and Thomas Zane. There's some of the originals. And Warlin Door is actually an original as well. So yeah, why don't we start the discussion there? And I want to say, so the darkness, it does take hold of water. There's like this water theme throughout the game. And the way they describe it is that if you're fighting it, it slowly erodes you away over time until you're like fully succumb with darkness, essentially. And that's what happened to Cynthia Weaver. She was one of the originals who fought the darkness with light. She was like, I guess the one who was protecting the clicker for all these years. I know that doesn't make sense to you much at all right now, Joe, but
Don't worry, it won't at the end either.
she's probably the scariest boss in the game too. Her boss fight is frightening.
In this one,
Yes.
yes. You're running around, and she's like swimming through water, and
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't stop her.
No, I did that. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
basically like a shark in water, and then after you drain the water, she's up floating around and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was there.
You had to punch so much ammo into her to destroy her too.
She's
It was-
basically a Deadite, like from Evil Dead.
She was
It just
scary as
keeps
shit
coming
too.
and coming.
So yeah, no matter how, like, I don't know if you read the notebooks, like, of what happened to her. So she was
Yeah.
changing the light in a basement over and over again. She got older and older, and to the point where she couldn't do it anymore.
She forgot. She got old enough that she forgot. It was in the bathroom, not in the basement. In her bathroom, because she gets pushed into the bathtub and drowned by basically a dark presence, like a Taken.
Yeah, because that's where you go up to get the record to
Yes,
open
out
the
of her
portal.
out of her bathtub.
Yeah.
And that's because that's where she dies in the world. But yeah, she just forgets to change the light bulb one time, and she goes into the bathroom, and she's got too old to carry her lantern around with her anymore. That was her, like, getting too old. She forgot to change it. It had been days. She walked into the bathroom, and she just heard a voice behind her. And that was the last thing that she ever heard, and she was drowned in the bathtub.
The dark presence has a lot of voices around when you're going. Just trying to fill little stuff in for Joe here and there, so it kind of might be like painting a picture, but yeah.
Now I'm going to pitch a theory I have about Thomas Zane, and I kind of want discuss, see what you guys think about this. So, Thomas Zane was the diver in the first game, who was just like an embodiment of light, who kind of navigated for Alan or got him out of sticky situations.
He was the original Alan with the original crew of people.
Yes, yeah. In this, he seems he's a director essentially, or like a
Filmmaker.
filmmaker.
Yeah.
That was his art.
Yes, and there is a theme. Anybody who can fight the darkness has some kind of affinity for art, or some kind of tool within art.
Like podcasting?
Yes, we could fight the darkness.
We'd get killed real quick.
I'm dead.
if it's based on quality,
Take one listen. I don't even want to fuck with you.
the last thing all of us would say was and then we'd be taken
But you encounter him in this game in a much different situation, and he almost goes on like a trippy evening with.
It's like a fucking Hunter S. Thompson style
Bender.
fucking-
Yeah.
like not leaving Las Vegas. Fucking
Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing, like just like that
Yep.
scene when they first get into the hotel room and they're like, "Let's do all the drugs." Like, yeah,
Yeah. So like Alan and Zane, like they meet essentially, and then I don't know, just like the artist brains, just like they just start drinking and they just start doing a bunch of drugs, and then like some other shit happens and they're like hiding on the floor. Zane's like,
and this is all in the dark place. So
Yeah.
like they just literally start doing a bunch of drugs while they're in the dark place, talking about re-editing and writing a new book together so that they can both escape the dark place.
So my theory behind Thomas Zane, I don't think he's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think the darkness has just eroded so much of his like mental state that he's just a fucking loon. In this place.
and the drugs.
I think he was just stuck in the dark place for so long.
Too
that he
long.
just went absolutely crazy, and he was literally trying to do anything he could, and that's why Alan kills him.
I don't even think he kills him though. I think he's definitely going to be back.
Do you really?
I do, 100%.
I don't know.
He was into cinematography. That could have been just a scene that he set up for one of his movies.
True, it wasn't like in game. It was in
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that
Well, that calls to question the whole.
I know.
the game,
There's
too.
there's so much ambiguity in this game. And speaking of Thomas Zane, before we can move too far, did you watch his movie on the screen?
Yeah,
It's like 30 minutes. Like you just
Yeah.
stand in that theater and just watch the whole thing.
yeah. It's
wild.
It's fucking wild. The amount of dedication to the bit, we'll say, for this game is incredible. Like they're like, oh, like there's like TV shows you can watch. It's like GTA style. Like, oh, you can sit there and watch a 15-minute fucking episode of something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you
And it's
can
fu-
watch TV in
and
that.
it's like fully produced and everything. Like it's fucking crazy.
I fucking love the commercials.
Oh God.
I fucking love the commercial.
Yako, is that the bear?
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
Ilmo, but thankfully I have my knife. I will cut the bear. So Joe, since you don't really you didn't really play the game, there's a lot of here is full on FMV, like straight up actors, live action, and then there's in-game movies, and they mix intermittently, but it's all on purpose. Like it's not just like, oh, they wanted to cut the budget here. Like no, like there's
you can drive a story with the angles and things you're doing differently. So like,
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes
and,
sense.
and in a game like this,
no, it's
like
literally it's
this-
literally like Alan touching a TV and jumping into a TV, and then all of a sudden it's fucking real life.
like
Oh, that's
actual
awesome.
physical human actors,
And then
act-
and then like an action,
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah, real human actors, and then it like something will happen and it'll kick him back out, and he's like, okay, all right, moving on to the next thing.
Huh.
Like, or I unlock something in this world by interacting with that world, and
it's a mind fuck.
it's a big old mind fuck.
It is. I mean,
Nice.
it's an interesting mind fuck, but it's like it's great. Like at least I know it might have been a little further, but at least being in story, it's like when the whole musical number happened, I was sitting there playing that, and then Morgan just walked through.
Let's talk about We Sing. That is the best chapter in this fucking
Yeah, it
game.
is. It is.
So-
I'm pounding the table lightly, and I'm sorry.
you got excited, so it's like.
Did you
it's-
watch it? We were all talking about it. I was curious if you ended up watching it.
Oh,
That is a perfect encapsulation of like the blend of what this.
which
this
that's
game
okay.
is.
Well, your
You're
next
running
vape break
through
will
like
bring
an
it.
FMV.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You were playing as the
Yeah.
character, but and then on like these screens, there's the live, like the live person actors who are
Warlindor's
like,
mouth.
who are just like coming up on these videos while you're running through, and the entire chapter is just like an Alan Wake musical.
It is.
And it's
awesome.
like you're running like behind the scene, like behind a set. You're going from set piece to set piece as your character Alan, while human actor Alan and human actor Mr. Dorr and the
Odin and Tor,
like
the old gods of Asgard.
old gods of Asgard, yes, and they're like in like real people, and it's singing. Well done. Fucking musical number. I mean, that's coming back around in audio,
it's
but
very legit. Like this is what I will say. If you're just going to listen to our review, that's fine. But it's like a must to watch.
yeah.
Like there are 20-minute no commentary videos on YouTube of just this entire chapter played front to back, and it is incredible. Like
Yeah.
it is just it's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced in a video game.
So where I was going with that, because Morgan watched me play some of it, and high anxiety because of this fucking game. We'll get to some of that in gameplay, I guess. But at least she's walking by, and the musical is going on. Like I'm playing We Sing, and she's like, "Is this part of the game? Because like, is that just a video?" I'm like, "No, I'm actually running through." She's like, "What the fuck is going on in here?" I'm like,
Yeah.
my same thoughts, but it's just that's where it's at least like and especially that chapter is like the main one where it's like you don't really there's no I want to say there's no sense to it. There is, because there's obviously how they want to deliver like just the story in itself and basically like fuck around with your brain. And
a little setup to this too is Alan, when he's initially trapped in the dark place, he's going from his dressing room and on set being interviewed by Mr. Dorr, who's Warland Dorr, who we've been talking about.
so late night talk show host.
And
Yeah, I've seen the memes.
Okay.
Yeah, every time he goes in, it gets a little bit weirder. Like the one time he's next to Alex Casey, but he's not. He's like, "Oh, I'm just playing him in the movie," and it's like Sam Lake talking normal with like a Finnish accent, and you're like, "What?" Because you've seen him the entire game with the Max Payne voice actor. So then you just see him and he's talking like this and has a very high pitched Finnish accent, So each time you go in, it's like a little bit weirder, and you're trying to escape the studio so that you can get into New York, essentially, in the dark place, and navigate around the dark place that is New York, which is where Alan's from. The third time you go in, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go into the talk show now. You're like, oh, I'll just go through this door, and then you can't open the door, and you take a step back, and then like the set lifts up, and it starts this fucking music video. Like it's like do, and like all of these fucking lights and like all of these fucking FMV screens are coming down around you, and you start walking.
It's a rock opera.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
literally the entire chapter
It's
is
a rock opera, including on the floor in certain spots. It's like wait for the solo. And if you wait for the solo,
Oh, and
then
that gives
there's
you so much flare gun ammo for
yeah,
this segment.
yeah, because it's just this huge like set piece of like, oh, just like obliterate these fucking enemies. But there's like spots on the floor where it's like, oh, go this way, or like it easily is just pointing you in the directions. Like people on the screen will be like, oh, go this way, and like they're pointing
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, come on, hurry up! Like it's really well done, and it seemed all seamless to me. Like I wasn't like standing around or anything, but like when they were like, oh, come on, hurry up, I was like, yeah, I'm going.
Yeah.
Like this is awesome. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like it's so interactive and it's so innovative. I've never experienced anything like that in a game before. Like
No.
there's nothing quite like that in a game that I've ever experienced.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of internet buzz like around this segment.
I've been sitting for a week thinking about it. I've been listening to the 15-minute song on Spotify that is the entire rock opera. Probably 100 times at this point.
It's so good.
It's so
It
fucking
immediately
good.
went on my Spotify list.
Yeah. I think when Alan was like, that was interesting, I was already staring at my phone at the playlist trying to figure out which song to add to my fucking Spotify.
and the coolest thing is, it's like the entire song from start to finish is basically taking it from like the beginning of Alan Wake 1 and then going through that entire story and then starting to blend into Alan Wake 2.
Well, it's even his life as a child.
uh,
It's explaining like why he uses the clicker, why it's an object of power for him, like why it's all of these different things. Like it's so good. It
is really
good.
yeah.
It's so good.
Now that we're all erect right now.
So I don't know about you guys. I figured out Warlindor was Saga's dad really early in the game.
I didn't realize that was her dad, but it makes sense.
Oh.
I missed.
Okay.
I missed that. When did, is that something that you can glean at some
So
point, or is that a guess?
no, that's a direct conversation you have with either Tor or Odin at some point in the game.
Okay.
Maybe you have to get enough clues to have that conversation.
I think so because
Right.
I did not have that conversation.
And Tor is the reason he is in the dark place. So Warlindor started messing with the dark place too much, dipped his toes in a little too much, and it put Saga and her mom at risk of going in. Tor sacrificed Warlindor to the darkness in order for Saga and her mom to get away. And that's why they left and cut off all ties with family.
Because she was just like, you got rid of him, but when really it was to actually save them
Yeah.
and make sure, wow, okay. Because there's going to be a few wow moments because the story gets so in depth, and I at least try to get, I had to pull myself away from SideQuest Steve after the first chapter because that just went on for a while. There's so much shit. But at least I wanted to try to get story points because that to me is
that's
more
huge.
important than the other
and,
stuff.
And fun fact
I
about...
I didn't get that, and that kind of sucks that you can miss that.
See, I scrounged for every little detail in this game.
I didn't. I had to start. I had to really start like.
found out who the mayor is. I collected all the mayor brochures or billboards, and then you finally get a meeting one-on-one with the mayor.
Do you?
Do you really?
You
Who
do.
is it?
It's a dog.
As it should be. It's like, isn't there just like,
And you get a special charm for him, too.
he will sit for you. He will speak for you.
Yeah.
Oh God, it makes sense
Oh
now.
my god, it does. Holy shit!
Because there's a
I
sign.
saw all the signs. I saw all the fucking signs.
Yeah. Because you
That's
just see
awesome.
all these
God
political
damn, that's
signs.
funny.
It's like he will sit and listen for you. And now it all makes fucking sense. So you have a one-on-one meeting with the dog.
Yeah, he's on stage where Ati was singing in the town.
Oh, okay.
Once you get the last clue, they tell you to, you get a meeting with the mayor. You got to go here or something.
Get the fuck out.
I love that Ati is in this.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
such
yeah.
a big part.
He had a much bigger part than he had in Control, I feel.
That's the janitor, right?
Yeah.
yeah. The janitor who like knows all and sees
Yep.
all and stuff like
Yep.
that. But yeah, he's in this game like straight up.
Interesting.
In this game all the time.
He's a big part. Well, not a big part. He is very much present though. He's not just like, hey, I'm a cameo. He's like, he shows up a good bit. Like the first time when you run into him, because the first time when going from like the TV set when you're going in through that loop, you just go through a door you can finally go in, and there's Ati just hanging out, mopping. Is like, hello, it's so good to see you again, and you're like, hey.
I said out loud, and my girlfriend was like, "Is everything okay?" I was like, "No shit!" Like I saw him and was just like, "Oh my god!" And my old friend, like I was just like, "No shit."
Hey, Tom.
So
Hey,
I preparation for tonight, I did a deep dive on what Ati actually symbolizes. And this holds true in Control and with Alan Wake 2, and he's like a higher being almost.
Yeah, he's like a deity basically.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the task that he not was assigned but has chosen to undertake is to put order to chaos. That's why he's always cleaning, because somebody has to clean up the mess. Even though it's a never-ending challenge, there is no end point to this.
He says that in Control.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay.
He's like, I am the one that always cleans up the mess. There is always a mess, and I always clean it up, and it's a never-ending chaos.
He's like that robot that leaks oil that cleans it up, only
Yes,
for it to spill more.
he's
and
essentially
keeps cleaning
that.
He is that.
but he's also
Most depressing piece of artwork I've ever seen. It has scarred me.
he's also completely untouchable by everything. The Taken couldn't touch him. The darkness couldn't get to him. He was completely unfazed, unafraid.
Yeah, he was in the dark a
Yeah,
couple times.
He was in the dark place, and he's just like, yeah,
He's actually in both worlds simultaneously in
yes.
this game.
Yeah,
and he's so happy.
always.
Yeah. or at least positive.
Did
Like,
you? It was really interesting. He gives a small hint to the end of the game when you're playing Saga and you're in the nursing home. If you try to go in the writer's room in the nursing home,
Yeah.
he like stops you and he's just like, "No, that is not your room right now." Like, it's just like, you can't go in there right now because Saga eventually ends up in there.
Oh, does
He's
she?
Like, and he said, your way into that room is not through this door. And it's not. Alan writes her there.
Okay. I didn't have that conversation with him.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
or no, Alan writes her into the writing room, and that's that's literally the end of the game.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
That is
yeah.
right because it's up in the top of that house.
It's on the
I
third
thought for
floor.
the longest time that room was at the lake house, the one from the original game. I thought
No,
that was
it's
the room.
it's in the nursing home.
It is in the nursing
No
home.
shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's wild.
Yeah, because it's like so like when you're running through like the nursing home stage basically, and part of it like you can start exploring other rooms, look for clues, items and stuff, and then there's always like in knowing where Dark Place manifests, there's like a swirl on the door, which is like the writer's room, so like Alan's room. And there's one door on the far end of the corridor that you can run up and try to go into. And then Ati just like jumps out of nowhere. It's almost like a cut scare, not like the other ones, which
Yeah,
we'll get
it-
to.
'cause
But
he-
There's one in the game.
yeah, and then
he
he's
puts his
just like,
hand out and
he's
kinda
like,
like-
no,
no.
It's
No.
like that's not for you. And then I'm thinking like after you put up the generator back on, it's like, oh, I can go back. And he's like, no, not.
Actually, so when you go to the room as Alan, Ati is the only person with the key to that room, which I also think makes him even more interesting because I don't think that room exists in the real world. I think that's literally a door into Alan's mind.
Is there a Dark Place of Bright Falls? Is that later in the game? Because you said when you go to that door as Alan, or do you mean like any door with like the...
Alan gets out of the dark place
Temporarily.
later. No, later.
I mean, only for a moment. He goes right back in, though. That's where he ends the game in. He's still in the dark place. And Saga's in the dark place.
Oh, they're
yeah.
both in the Dark Place.
At the end of the game, yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes, yeah, they're both in the dark place at the end of the game.
Well, actually, not according to the final cut.
Well, yeah. So this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So Ati is the only person that has a key to that room. Mm-hmm. The only way Alan gets in there is from the dark place. It's the only way he can get in there is from the dark place.
Okay.
The only way Saga can get in there is for Alan to write her into the room.
So just to be in the room, not going through the door, but just being written in and then appearing in his writing room.
Correct.
Oh.
Scratch opens the door.
Like the actual door.
Yes, but Scratch is in Bright Falls. Like actual Bright Falls.
Right, yeah.
Because Wake has to go into like the Forever Deerfest. Basically, Scratch uses Deerfest as like his like he's like, I'm going to just spread this like everyone loves Alan Wake, everyone loves my writing, everyone's going literally mad for my writing, and I'm just going to spread it throughout the world.
Yeah, because I know they were saying where it's like these type of things, like when the FBC comes in, it's like some of this can be localized and just stay contained in an area, but he's trying to take it from this contained area being Bright
Right.
Falls and then plague it out, basically.
Yeah, and Alan gets out and then goes through basically an overlap and gets into the Forever Deerfest
Okay.
reality because I want to keep that separate from the Dark Place because it's not
Yeah.
necessarily the Dark Place either.
It's not.
'Cause
It's altered reality
It's
kind of thing.
It's the
Okay,
altered real world reality. So that's how he gets into the writing room, not through the Dark Place. I'm correcting myself. It's not through the Dark Place. It's through that altered reality because he runs into the woods after he escapes basically a mob of people,
Okay.
All wearing deer masks.
all wearing deer masks.
Oh, fun.
It's pretty
Yeah.
creepy to just walk around, and it's daytime too, and it's still
yeah.
fucking creepy.
It's really creepy because like you walk through Deerfest and everyone is like ranting and raving about the like return because it gets written like it's the second book. It's the one that Scratch wrote.
Yeah.
And Alan picks up the copy of it, and then all of a sudden, every single person in this like parade, this like Main Street parade, turns and stares at Alan, and then just starts being like, "I fucking love your book," and then starting like trying to fucking touch him.
Oh, God.
And he like runs, yeah, and then runs into the woods basically, and runs to the nursing home.
Okay.
Gets to the nursing home, can't get in, has to go through the basement all the way up. And then Ati lets him into the writer's room in the Forever Deerfest area. Scratch's reality.
Yeah.
Scratch eventually catches up to him, but and he, you know, like he writes Saga into the room, and they come up with their ending
Okay.
because Saga's like, "Look, you wrote me into this story. You took my wife. You took my daughter.
My daughter,
and
my
and
husband.
my husband.
Yeah.
And that's the really fucked up thing. Scratch,
well, Scratch is Wake.
yeah, Scratch is Wake. It's just the darkness in Alan Wake, basically.
And
is
there's even a couple
Scratch.
times where you think it's Scratch, but it's just a pissed off Wake too.
Yes.
Like there's some bleeding lines there.
Yeah.
Like Wake actually kills Wake at some point, not Scratch or anything. It's just a loop he's stuck in where he shoots himself in the head.
Yes, as he's making the final edits to Return, Wake comes in, shoots him, but
So that's
when
that's where the scenes from where you just see him
Yeah.
getting shot in the foot.
He-
but
But he's actually the one making the scratch marks. He
Yeah,
discovers it's him that's actually doing
so
it.
Alan is Scratch, who is Alan, and then Alan shoots.
they're the
So
same
we should
person.
call like it. Yeah, Scratch and Wake are technically the same person. There's also Wake that's possessed by the darkness, which is
That's Scratch, basically.
no. Well, that's what everybody calls him, but
Welcome to Alan Wake 2, Joe.
Yeah, no.
Alan Wake was the one doing the
I'm
scratch
following
marks.
better
though.
than I
Yes,
thought I would.
Yeah,
Alright, yeah.
but that's when he's doing his edits.
Yeah.
The only reason he calls him Scratch is because he has that one vision of him scratching out the stuff. But like darkness possessed Alan is still Alan. It's just possessed by the darkness, and just to differentiate, we'll call one Scratch and one Alan. So basically, every single time Alan comes in and starts doing the edits to Return. Mm-hmm. Alan from basically the future comes in and shoots himself in the head because that Alan thinks it's Scratch sitting at the writer's table, and the Alan at the writer's table thinks Scratch is coming in to kill him. So he's like, I have to finish this before Scratch comes and kills me. And he's like, I have to kill Scratch before he fucks up my book.
So, but it's just Alan killing Alan.
Yeah.
It's Alan killing Alan over and over and over again. And that's where the whole idea of like looping happens in this. However, when he gets Saga on board and Saga is put into the final chapter where Scratch comes in, then all of a sudden Scratch comes in as Alex Casey,
Oh.
possessed by
Yeah,
the
it can
dark.
possess different people.
Yeah.
Yes. And let's just talk about the ending now. Like, so Saga is given two photographs, one of the clicker, which they need to activate and rewrite the story,
Right.
and a bullet made of light.
Hold on. Before we go any further with that, there's a reason that she has photographs of these. You're periodically visiting your old apartment.
Alice takes them.
Yes.
Alice.
And they're building this story of what has happened to Alice since she left the dark place.
Yeah.
And she's been tracking Alan by taking pictures of what she thinks is like the
Key
dark.
objects
The
or whatever.
dark, or like
Well-
Scratch because
Well,
she
somebody keeps coming to haunt her
yeah
at her place, and she
Yeah,
sets
she's
up
being
all these
haunted.
cameras in the apartment
so that
to
way
catch
if there's
pictures
like
of the haunting.
if there's like a motion, it's set up where she has like these big photography lights and a camera on a tripod. So as soon as there's like movement or something else, she's trying to capture it on film.
So basically, too, the idea of like looping and spiraling, especially when it comes to like time and stuff like that, is at some point we're talking about the loops. Once the loop breaks, it becomes a spiral, so they start to become similar but not the exact
Exact same, yeah.
So as
Okay.
all of these changes start to happen, it finally breaks being a loop and starts becoming an actual spiral. Like at the end, like in the loop version of the story, Alice kills herself. Jumps back into the lake dead.
But there's the reason. She's
trying to reach Alan.
Yeah. She faked her death to make you think she's dead because she didn't want the dark Alan to know that she's still alive.
Gotcha.
So she faked her death jumping in the lake.
Oh, and there we
Yes.
go, breaking the loop, get the spiral. That's why the spiral is on all the doors.
Yes, that's why the writer's room has a spiral on it.
So with the spiral, though, I know they're visioning it on a horizontal plane, but I think it's better to do it vertically because I think there's the two ways to escape the spiral, which is destruction, which I think is the spiral down, but I think there's also ascension, which is a spiral up. And Alan, I was calling him Payne. Alan has been continuously doing destructive spirals or cycles. And it's not until the end of the game where Alice realizes there's another way out. It's not just through destruction, but it's through ascension. And that's why she's going back into the darkness to rescue Alan. And God knows they're only going to introduce a new mechanic with the photography.
I saw
next
someone
game.
I saw someone explain. I get really interested in like the time dilation stuff. It's in a lot of the media that I consume. So the best way that I can explain the difference between the loop and a spiral is essentially if you're looking at a spring right at where it's started and it's just a circle in your hand, right? You're looking at it with that perspective. It's just a loop. But if you start cutting pieces of it, it's still forever just a loop. Does that make sense? If you're looking at it head on,
Yeah, head on.
and you just keep clipping and destroying pieces of it, like what Harry was saying, it's still a circle, right? But if you ascend it, so if you pull it apart, or you pull that spring apart and it starts to expand, it becomes a spiral because you can see more of the actual rings.
Yeah.
So that's the idea behind the loop versus the spiral and the destruction versus ascension. You can keep destructing a spring if you're looking at it in one way, and it's still just a loop. But if you actually ascend and pull it apart, it becomes an actual spiral that you're staring at.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild ending.
So
It's a pretty wild game.
So-
Period.
Saga waits until Scratch and the Dark Presence goes into Alan Wake. And then she shoots Alan in the fucking head with the light bullet.
Okay.
And that kills the Dark Presence, for what we understand of the Dark Presence. And then you have to play the final chapter. Because that she goes to call her daughter. It just keeps ringing. You hear the explanation from Alice that, like, oh, with my art, you can actually beat this thing.
So as Saga, you hear Alice, and then kind of like through that, or it's just kind
you're
of.
kind of shown.
It kind of cuts back to one of her videotapes where
Yeah,
she's
did you
filming
see
it.
any of her videotapes?
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you saw that, like, you watched like the whole scene when you were like when you first got to the apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's another one of those full screen, basically talking directly to you, the user,
Okay.
the end user, basically. And so then it comes up to the final chapter, which is you're going through
Or the final draft.
Yeah, no, I thought it was. Yeah, it might be the final draft. Whatever. Yeah, the final draft. The final draft is the true ending to Alan Wake 2, and in that you're finding pictures.
And you have to play through the game again, which is
Another
code for
loop.
another loop.
Yes.
Yeah. So are you? So in the final draft, you were playing as.
You're playing the game again. You're playing the
so-
entire game again.
Huh.
The whole thing is another loop.
Yeah.
But you have to do all of those loops with the added piece of Alice has now put her pictures for places for you to find to give you extra clues to figure it out. And once you do, once the dark presence is in Alan, the light bullet actually will kill the dark presence completely, and Alan will wake back up after being shot in the head. He wakes back up, and then Saga calls her daughter, and she answers the phone. And she said, "Oh my God, I had a nightmare." And she's like, "Don't worry, it's okay."
Yeah.
Alan says something else though, which is like another one of those cliffhanger endings.
That's in the first one. He's like, "It's not a loop, it's a spiral."
No, he says something after that in the final draft.
He talks about being the master of the pages, or the master of the story, or something like that. Hold on.
It's something. Was that something that like the cult of the book was like referencing him as?
Yeah. Oh, actually, we never even really talk about the cult that much, which was ran by Jaakko and Ilmo.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want to get this quote in here.
So
Sure.
at least while he's looking for that, so at least in the final draft, when you're saying you play through the whole, like, how long is the final draft? Like, is that?
It's the entire game again
It is like the entire game
with added photos. I think.
so
thrown into
is
the
that
game.
basically like the new game plus you were talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I believe so. Where you get to
Holy
keep all your
shit.
upgrades. And
Yeah.
everything.
Alan calls himself the master of many worlds.
Huh.
Hinting at so
maybe that's where it's like
it's
bringing in
hinted in the game
the
that
Remedyverse.
Warlin Door has mastered the dark place. He apparently can leave at any time. He knows how. And he moves between different dimensions. He understands the multiverse.
He's Mr. Door. He just keeps going through one door
Exactly.
to another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Monsters Inc.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. Yeah.
but apparently like he has mastered it, but
He's been in there for a while.
yeah. Fuck, what was I going to get to?
We just brought up like the cults of the book.
Oh yeah, and like we didn't ever even really talk about the cult. You think
No.
for half the game that they're the bad guys. That's who you're investigating. They're
I
they're
didn't
killing Taken. Like anybody who comes out of the lake that is possessed, they're killing them, and they do it in a very ritualistic way because I think you have to remove the heart and then kill that with light or something
Yeah,
like that.
you
to,
You put the clicker in their heart, flick the
oh, that's
clicker,
why they had
and
the
it'll-
clicker.
Yeah.
It'll abolish them basically back to the it'll completely cast out the dark presence from them.
Yeah, and that's it. It wasn't until like the whole jail scene, like when Ilmo and Jack,
Oh, where he gets like
Jacko.
destroyed by
Jacko.
Scratch.
yeah,
Jacko gets fucking murdered.
No, I think it was Ilmo.
No, Ilmo's still
No,
alive.
Ilmo's still alive. Jacko,
he?
yeah,
Okay.
Ilmo's the brains behind the operation, and Jacko is
Okay, I got
the
those two
one who
mixed up
just
then.
but it's basically where it's like the two Finnish brothers. The one just gets completely decimated by Scratch, and then that's where it starts coming out and having the conversation of, no, we did this to protect the town, and this is the reason why like we wanted to kill Alan Wake. It's because of him, is because all of this travesty and everything has come upon the town, which I started to have a feeling after a little bit, like when you started, like when you go to their encampment, is when like some of it starts to develop a little more. It's like there's more to this than just like what's on the surface, and I think that really started coming through, like when you had like Saga having like more interaction with Tor and Odin and going through that. It's like, okay, there's some other shit. There's like so many fucking layers to this story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's where it's like we're even for we could sit here and talk about it for 5 hours, and there's still just like so much more you can get into.
So I had a feeling that the Cult of the Tree were the good guys really early on.
Okay.
But I swear I will not rant about this for 20 minutes. However, it has to be said how much Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2 are 100% inspired by Twin Peaks. Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen Twin Peaks. I keep meaning
It
to
is
watch
a
it.
must-watch. If you like Alan Wake, it is a absolute must-watch. If there was ever going to be an Alan Wake movie, David Lynch, the creator, writer, director of Twin Peaks, needs to be the person to edit it. He's the only person that could ever do it justice on this entire fucking planet. Anyway, there are certain things, like the lodge that you're in, you can go into certain rooms and like it's exactly laid out like the lead FBI agent in Twin Peaks.
Okay.
to a T, including where Saga hung up her FBI jacket because he's also an FBI agent, hung it up in the exact same spot. The R&R diner is the same thing as the In-N-Out diner. Same exact setup, quirky waitress, that whole thing. There's a group in Twin Peaks called the Bookhouse Boys that protect this weird dark entity that comes out of the woods there, protects the town of Twin Peaks from that darkness. Like, there's so much that they have in common, and it's so good. As a giant Twin Peaks fan myself, every little thing in this I picked up that I was just like, okay, this is like a subtle Twin Peaks thing. Like,
Was it even subtle though at that point?
No, it wasn't. I mean, all you need to do is type in Twin Peaks Alan Wake, and there's just like tons of stuff where it's like,
I'm just
it's there.
It's a huge. It's like a love letter almost to Twin Peaks. And what's interesting is Twin Peaks also had this interesting thing where Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake 2 take actually 13 years from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Twin Peaks even did the same fucking thing. At the end of the second season of Twin Peaks, Laura Palmer, who's like the person that they're investigating her death, that's where Twin Peaks and Alan Wake are like different. She's like in this like place called the Red Room, which is like the dark place. It's like this opposite world.
Okay.
That overlays the other. Anyway,
Yeah.
She's like, I will see you in 25 years. 25 years to the month. Season 3 of Twin Peaks came back with all of the original actors. 25 years from season 2 to season 3.
They're like,
And
we're playing the long game on this
and
one.
they went batshit crazy with season 3, and it was just like, again, I'll try not to rant about it, but like when we talk
we're
about
getting ranting.
when we talk about like time loops and parallel stuff, they say that you can watch season 3 in about 7 different ways, reorganizing the episodes, and I've watched it 3 different ways of like the 7 that I found like a list of, and it makes perfect sense. The story still makes sense. You can watch the episodes out of order. That's how intricate they made this story. And also David Lynch was like, I basically made an 18-hour movie and I cut it up, and then you can watch it in whatever order you want, and it makes sense.
Oh, like the thing they try to do on Netflix, where it's like, oh yeah, you
Actually,
just
that
watch
wasn't
it in
that
color.
bad.
No, that really wasn't.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But like I highly recommend Twin Peaks to anyone that is a big fan of this. Harry, I know you're.
I'm going to try to convince Leanna to watch it.
I have it all on Blu-ray. It's hard to find it all in one spot anywhere. So
I've seen it on Netflix once or twice. I don't.
It's not on there anymore.
Okay.
Or if it is, it's only season 1 and 2, and then you can't find season 3 unless you have Showtime.
Ugh.
I have it all on Blu-ray, so I can just
So
let
just
you borrow
ask
it.
Clark. He's got you covered. All right.
Twin Peaks is incredible.
There you go. You got it in
Even
there.
even takes
Okay,
sorry.
that's-
Even
You
takes
ended
place-
on a good note. It could have ended there. We didn't need a but.
even down to the setting though. They both take place in the Pacific Northwest. Like it's
there.
it's so much there.
Okay. Awesome.
This is Twin Peaks, the video game.
Sorry, there was one other character I just wanted to mention real quick, just so we touch like all the major characters in this game.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to mention this too is also just that they didn't leave any like strings like unfinished from the first game. They made sure that like they put a cap on everything or answered any question you had lingering from the first one. And there was a character in the first one, the waitress, Rose,
Yep.
who was taken by the darkness in the first game. And she actually talked to you on the phone, put you in a wrong area. I think like lured you and knocked you unconscious, you and Barry unconscious in the first game.
Wasn't Barry like really into her too?
I don't remember.
I think he was like, oh, bros, this is something else.
Barry unfortunately doesn't make an appearance in this game, which really upset me.
He doesn't make a physical appearance.
No, but he's in the
he's in letters and stuff.
Yeah. I really wanted to see Barry though. I'll be even if it was just a cameo.
Yeah.
No Barry for you.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Jesse show up.
Yeah, I think they're going to do the same thing with like the expansion, how they do with Control.
You think they'll go Control with this?
Yeah, I
You
do.
think they'll go Alan Wake to Control instead of Control to Alan Wake?
Yeah, maybe. Because they're working on Control 2 already.
I know.
They're good.
I play the fuck out of that expansion.
Anyway, I thought it was cool that Rose in a lot of ways redeemed herself. She wasn't as weak as she was in the first game, and she was actively fighting for Alan Wake in this game.
As soon as you tell her the passcode, she's like, oh, hey.
Wake has returned.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought she was a villain for a good chunk of this game. The way she was acting, the way like you had to like tiptoe around the retirement home.
Yeah.
Like something seemed off about her until
She's sitting on the bench and you tell her the passcode. She's like, I've been waiting. And then it's just like, and then
She's like, I feel so silly for trying to keep stuff from you and keep you out of there. I just didn't want you to get hurt.
it was just a turnabout. It's like, oh, that's sweet. We're going into this shit. So
and she's the one that's leaving the Alex Casey lunchboxes all over the world.
Yep.
oh, she's the one that did all those?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, that's why it always seems so positive and uplifting. There's
And that's
like,
why it's always talking about the hero.
yeah. So like
it- constantly referencing the hero, and that's what she was looking for. She was
so
looking
you
for
can
Saga.
you can find these lunch boxes and you can get like weapon upgrade points basically you can spend, but every time you open it up it's like when mom sent you to school like with your lunchbox and wrote you like an uplifting note for the day of like you keep it going or something else for the hero, and it's like that's you can get that from like her personality where she's just kind of upbeat. Oh, I haven't seen you in so long since this and that, and yeah.
Another little interesting thing about that too is that when you go and you get the lunch boxes, you're picking up ripped up manuscript pages. That's all of Rose's instructions from Alan.
Well, Alan doesn't remember though, because they have a conversation at some point.
No, I know. I know he doesn't remember doing this, but I think he wrote to her in between 1 and 2 because she's out of the dark place.
Yeah.
She was in the dark place in 1, and she's suddenly out of the dark place in 2. I think Alan wrote her out of the dark place
Possibly.
in his edits in the first one.
And I mean, it's sad what happened to Cynthia Weaver, but this is one where I think she picked up the torch of like, because Cynthia was at that nursing home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think like she's the keeper of light now.
Yeah.
Since
Well, she's the keeper of the fucking old gods of Asgard. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Like,
Yeah, both of them. At least the two that are left there.
I'm
Other than Barry Boulder or whatever, I forget what the Bob Fat Bob Boulder.
Boulder.
Yeah,
There's one thing that kind of irks me about the story. Ooh. What happened to Odin and Thor?
they're in the dark place.
They're just in the dark place.
Yeah,
looking for Saga.
They show up in the final draft in the dark place.
Okay,
That you could talk to them as Saga.
gotcha.
That some people have transitioned one way or the other, just to try to build up for the next game. But they are in the dark place now.
we tried so hard to get Tor out.
But
I
if
know.
the dark place still exists without the dark presence.
Yeah. Well, so whenever you kill
would-
the dark presence, it takes a new host, typically. Because it was Barbara Jagger at first, and then that moved to, well, I guess to Alan Wake, essentially,
Yeah,
because he had to
kill her.
kill her, become her in a lot of ways
Yeah.
to let out Alice, and then it moved to Alex Casey, and then
Back to Alan, and then it was killed in Alan.
yeah, but it's probably jumped to another body, or maybe I don't know, something else. I don't know. Honestly, there's a lot of questions at the end of the game still. I mean,
I think they need to go a different direction. I do think they need to pivot from the dark presence. Like the dark
They
presence
could.
was cool. It could be dead. Like theoretically, it could be dead. The whole idea of like the light bullet and things like that. Like, I like that as an ending for it.
I honestly, maybe okay. Let's just theorize real quick since we're kind of wrapping up the story at this point. Let's say the dark entity The dark place exists. The dark entity is gone. But now that the dark entity doesn't exist, Warlin Door can run a gambit on the multiverse of it. Since he can transition these doors, he becomes the new villain.
Yeah.
Which has emotional ties with Saga.
Right.
And it still allows like the bouncing back and forth between the two
Yes.
places,
The two
and things
realities,
like that. 'Cause
yeah.
of Warlin.
Honestly, they're going to make him a big character in the next game, whatever direction they go. Why introduce him and keep him so subtle in this, but have such a
presence.
ambiguous role? And yes,
Yeah.
and such a weird presence. They're building him for something. And that would, if they can get the contract in time for the Quantum Break guy, that would make sense to build on that, transitioning realities and such. Like I think they know what they're doing.
If
Oh yeah,
That's what I think.
They had this written out 13 years ago. They're just slowly trying to implement and gain control of everything that's needed to make it happen. Shut up, Joe.
if anyone from Remedy is listening, please just
Yeah.
like
You
just
got better
take-
stuff to do with your time.
Just take Alex Casey, and you can just somehow merge him with Max Payne, so we can just call him Max Payne, and he's not Alex Casey anymore.
Max Casey,
Let's just do that.
Alex
Casey
Payne.
Payne.
Yeah, Casey.
Casey Payne.
That's just Max Payne. Let's just fuck it, or just kill off Alex Casey and have Max Payne show up. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Oh boy.
The undercover name.
Yeah.
Was Alex Casey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up our story. I think I kind of touched on
As-
everything I wanted to.
As best we can with the
There's a
time
lot
we have
of
to work
subtleties,
with.
but I
Good
think
God,
we hit
yeah.
the big beats here. Whew.
Twin Peaks.
All right. Well, let's start that musical number and move into gameplay.
Gameplay.
So where do we want to start with? Yeah, gameplay. We said game
let's-
development.
Yeah.
I
Gameplay.
did it to throw you off.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start off with this game gave me so much fucking anxiety playing through it. The jump scares. I am already, it's one thing about like a certain type of horror game where it's like monsters or, just like demonic looking things. Cool, that's fine. But we started crossing into like the paranormal shit, which if anybody listened to Phasmophobia, that is my thing where it's just like I'm already on edge and I feel my heartbeat racing. And then while you're running through levels, it just randomly there'd be you remember the old commercial where there's like the car like driving on the hillside?
Yeah,
and
the
you
thing
say-
pops up on the screen.
Yeah, it's basically that, but more intense and just like more right in your face, and
And about 50 times throughout.
it's a lot.
It's
Nice.
it's screaming, gnashing teeth, bloody figure, like just screaming
For half a second.
for half a second.
It had no
And
other
the screen goes completely black, and the silhouette of this thing is in white.
and just pops up on the screen. So I'm sitting there playing. Morgan's like in the bakery making cookies. Then I'm just sitting back, and all of a sudden, fuck you, god damn it. She's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah,
Just out here pissing myself.
yeah,
And-
pretty much. Until she sat down like on one of the nights I was playing, and like she actually sat on the couch with me. She's like, oh. I did not like that. I'm like, I know. This is the entire time that I've been yelling. It's like the rest of it I can deal. It's creepy or something, but the fucking jump scares. God damn it.
Oh, and it gets really loud, too.
yeah.
And they do not telegraph it at all.
No.
It happens true. It's not actually random, but like it feels fucking random.
It's just in the middle
You're
of
like
nothing.
going to open a door. Like you're just like, oh, I've been through this door 7 times, but I just did something. Go through the door because you're just like, oh, I'm backtracking. You're like, like for a second.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're like,
God.
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Besides those, there was really only one jump scare. Like, honestly, so this game was paraded around as like a horror game. In general, I didn't think it was that scary, minus those things. But
I got caught off guard a few times by the Taken.
there was
Take
one
it, like
taken.
the shadows and shit.
I don't.
too?
I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember this when. so at the end of the game, so Saga has this ability called her mind place, where she can just get like, I don't know, put herself in a trance, and she could just think so clearly. And you're in like this little room that she constructed in her head.
We should expand upon the mind place a little bit because it is huge to the gameplay.
Okay, it's like a safe room.
Is it like the tutorials were in Control? Not the tutorials, but those like test rooms.
No. So you go into this place. It's like there's a desk and a giant board and a spot where you can recheck manuscripts. There's a radio where you can listen to the music you've heard already.
It's almost like an
There's a
interactive
TV.
menu.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
But you are building a case board with Saga. So, like, she has all of this stuff, and as you find clues, you're, like, piecing it onto the board and making, like, one of the spider
string
webs.
maps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
string map.
a lot of memes with that regarding the meme from
It's always Sunny.
Always Sunny.
yeah.
Yes.
But like her mind places where
Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Silva. Who's Pepe Silva?
Do you know who Pepe Silva is? Pennsylvania.
yeah,
'Cause he's illiterate.
Wait.
Oh. So like her mind place is it's actually like a family like special ability where they can see the truth beyond what is being presented to them. So like when she's doing interviews, she's like she'll do like profile cases. She'll do a profile on someone and you see her sitting down and it's like, okay, well they said this, but I feel like there's something more. And then that'll come in where like whoever she's profiling, like in like her like inner thought is like, oh, I saw this locket. Oh, it did so, it pertained to the guy being murdered in the woods. No one said anything about it, but she was able to see through people's lying words and actually be able to see the truth. So that was her mind place. So that's where you start to get more in-depth information or be able to advance conversations with people and be like, well, what about this? And the person be like, I didn't expect you to ask me that. And so she just kind of had it's like a gift, or at least it's referred to as like a gift.
Yeah.
It's also how Saga actually pulls herself out of the dark place, or opens the door that she can be pulled out of the dark place eventually.
Oh, through her mind place for that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at one point, this is more into the story, but yeah, like
So I wanted to linking this back to the jump scare real quick though. At the end of the game, she gets locked in her mind place. The darkness is fucking around with her, and like things are getting distorted in her mind place. It's a real mind fuck of a segment. Like shit's missing, and then there was one point where you're on the board as normal, just doing your thing, and you turn around and there's a fucking Taken that swings right at you in your mind place. That was the biggest jump scare of the game for me. Freaked me the fuck out.
that didn't happen to me.
Really?
That did not happen to me.
It fucking scared the shit out of me.
That did not happen to me.
And as you turn around,
Or if it did, it didn't have as big of an impact on me.
I think you would remember something in the mind place.
I literally
Wait,
turned the camera
how did you-
angle, and this guy was like swinging right down at me and yelling at the same.
So how did you fight it? Because you don't have the gun in the mind.
It just flashes out. It's just there to scare you.
It's just the image. So wait, so you're in and you're like
You're working
business
on the
is just-
board, moving stuff around on the thing. And then she's like, I need to go profile. And you go turn around to go to the profile thing. And boom, the guy is mid-swing right as you turn the camera.
Oh,
angle
Here's the
around.
fuck
thing.
you.
Here's okay. When I was doing that whole sequence, I was standing behind the desk, and I would only ever go profiling, and then I'd look up case board, and then when I hit circle, I'd be back in front of the desk profiling. I never moved.
So you skipped it.
Yeah, I
essentially.
basically skipped that jump scare by
Oh,
not
God.
going up to the
That
board.
was the worst one of the game.
Jesus Christ.
I got really fucking scared when you're in the cult hideout
Okay.
and you're like you come up from the
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
from the ladder, and you had just read like it was there to hit her with like a giant fucking mallet that could just crush her fucking skull in one swing, and you're like all right, I don't see anything, none of the music's playing, I'ma just walk out of the building. I think I'm probably going to go fight this thing outside of the building. So you walk down the side, and out of a place that, like, before was just a wall, is no longer. And it's just this dude just grabs her, fucking throws her. And then
he broke through a wall to get to me.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
He broke through the wall,
Yeah.
grabbed her, and threw her. That's what happened in my last.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
At any time I played this, which of course is after work and it's fucking winter, so it's dark. I'm like, I need to I need to go to bed in like an hour. I need to stop playing now so I can actually lay down and have my heart stop beating so fucking fast. Because it's like, and it's very rare that I get that worked up over a game or something, but it hit those points, which, don't get me wrong, it's fun because that's not a feeling that I really feel any other time. And so it drew that out of me, and it was like the adrenaline rush. But it's like I would be so pumped up after that. I'm like, I need like 45 minutes at least to fucking wind down before I can actually like lay in bed and feel like I can fall asleep at a decent time, because otherwise I'm just going to lay in bed and just like fucking heart pumping. It's like, yeah.
Our hallway light has been flickering.
Oh, God. Jesus.
So anytime I go to bed, I like turn it on and it's like real low. I'm like, oh,
You know
God.
what happened to Cynthia?
And then I turn it off and it like flick and it's off. I'm like,
It's like it's the adult equivalent of running up the stairs really fast because you feel like something is at the bottom and is going to chase you up, like out of the basement or something.
I maybe since playing this game have made sure like all right, all my guns' flashlights are working. I'm ready. I just got a point.
Oh boy. All right, so let's talk about some mechanics of the game. Very similar to the like modern Resident Evil games. It has that like briefcase inventory thing, where it's like gridded and you can move things around. It takes up X amount of squares.
Limited in inventory.
It felt tight on
Yes.
inventory in this game. Like by the time you get all the guns, which takes up, I want to say like at least 50% of your carrying capacity.
More so even between like the crossbow and then you get like the long rifle while you're in.
Oh, you get two
the
different shotguns.
Yeah, two different shotguns.
I never got the rifle. I knew it was there, and I was just like, I have to get this game beat, and I don't. And then, but I got too far away that I couldn't go back to
Oh,
it.
it was so good too.
God, that was especially for the Cynthia
I
battle.
had no problem going through the entire game with the pistol and shotgun.
And the crossbow was garbage. I hated it.
Oh no,
I-
that stayed in my shoebox.
Yeah,
It
I
should've.
put that in my shoebox immediately and like just didn't pick up arrows. I was
Which-
like, oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad.
I will say about at the halfway point where I was like, I need to get this game done so that we can record. I did switch my difficulty from normal to story
Okay.
because I just wanted to experience it more, and I did find it was definitely easier.
Yeah.
It was like I was finding tons of ammo, and I was like, all right, I can just rock with two weapons.
And I'm sure it's just like a so much less amount that you have to shoot stuff.
Yeah, it was like basically 2 bullets from the handgun for most taken. If they were the big guys, I'd take them out with like 2 shotgun blasts.
I was not good at headshots. I'll be honest. I was.
I was never really focusing for headshots. I was basically like look for like the red glowing thing, and if they don't have it, just pump ammo into them.
Yeah, trying to line up shots was it could be pretty difficult if it was like an active moving, because there were also like a lot of fast enemies, which was in the dark place. That's the one where like it was fast moving shadows. You saw them like kind of far, and then they just move quickly and they're in your face. Another thing, I don't like things that move that fucking fast. and when you were playing as like Saga and going through like Bright Falls and whatnot, where there were the wolves and some of the other ones, that wasn't too bad. But something about
They would all announce themselves from really far away.
yeah,
Oh,
It's
and
the
they all have great quotes.
yeah,
It's-
and that's
it's the
where mine came
shadows.
from the it's bingo night. At that moment, I got a little less scared. I'm like, That's not too bad.
Yeah,
Grandma's
you're my
screaming
buddy
at-
now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'll shoot you in the face, Grandma. That's okay.
You're like, keep the comic relief coming.
Yeah, yes, please.
More
yeah.
of that, please.
Yeah, that made me feel better, but at least like where sometimes it was hard to line stuff up if you couldn't decipher what was an enemy and what was not, because at least like when you're playing a saga in like the quote unquote real world, you already knew because you just saw someone walking through the woods, or there might have been like the wolf or something. They would still move fast, but they were present enemies. In the Dark Place, when you were playing with Alan, every enemy was basically a shadow to start, and some shadows would just stay there, not do anything. You can run right past them and no big deal. And then I think there might have been like a little glint or something where they were like a little bit darker, like
So
less
I couldn't
opaque.
figure out
There
the
was like less
difference.
opaque,
I-
and then those were the ones.
I shine my light on all of them. Some would fade out of existence, and then some would keep pursuing.
So that's the thing. That's how you tell. You have to focus your light, not use the charge. But if you focus your light on them, eventually non-enemies would fade away. Like even if you were like far away, you could just like do it down a hallway.
then that's
and certain ones would fade away. The ones that didn't fade away, you knew were enemies, but they also didn't always see you. They didn't always come after you. So you could walk past one and it didn't attack you. But
Right.
if you're like doing something and then you walk past it again, it might be facing a different direction and you can't tell because it's a fucking shadow.
and then
can't.
all of a sudden it's just like
and then all of a
then,
sudden
like,
you're being grabbed and thrown. That was
right in your fucking face,
and they are immune to any damage until you bring them out of the shadow form.
yeah, which you have to use a flashlight charge for.
Nice.
you get limited amount of those.
Yes. With Alan, the best fucking upgrade that I found was when you kill an enemy, you have like a X amount of chance, like percentage chance to get a charge back.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I was able to like rock the whole game with like 3 batteries after that. I was like, okay, cool. Like this is great. I'm getting just enough kills. Like there were just enough enemies that it just kept recharging, and then I'd be like down to 1, and then I'd find a light source and it would bump back up. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
In general, like the gameplay was very similar between the two characters. However, I will say I had more fun playing with Saga in this game.
Yeah.
I feel like a bulk of the game is with her too. If we're doing ratios, I'd give her like 66, like 2/3 of the game was probably playing as her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the mind place and like the case board. And
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like
You know,
that.
they were
Like,
trying to add that new mechanic, and
Yeah,
like
and
they didn't want to
I think
half-ass
I
it.
think they did it
Yeah.
well.
Yes,
Too.
I thought it
Yeah.
was a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
Just like a sleuth of the game.
There's one thing I do kind of wish. I wish if you were like stuck with like a clue. I did end the game with like 5 clues that I couldn't place on any case board.
Okay.
Which sucked because I
Yeah.
was like, cool, I've had these conversations and I have seen these things and I have nowhere to put them in the case board. I wish there was like a way that like if you didn't know where it was, you could like maybe give up and like just bring it back to the first part of the story and place it, and then they would like trace it for you like, oh, it goes over here.
Do you remember what it was by any chance?
Like 5 clues that I had. There were 3 Here's the thing. Like 4 of them had to do with my conversation with Tor. So I imagine it's probably the Warland door thing that I missed.
Okay.
Cuz it's like, "Oh, this is for later." But I never had a follow-up.
Got it. Okay.
So,
Any questions so far, Joe?
yeah, man, like you've been kind of like not asking
Well, I
questions.
mean, he's been taking it in.
Yeah,
Now,
I've just
think
been-
of what the
yeah.
fuck we've been talking about for the past hour and a half.
Yeah. I've just been kind of taking it in.
So some gameplay things that maybe you guys didn't experience, just because I really wanted to get the platinum. Like I knew I was going to platinum this as soon as I got it.
Oh yeah, of
I wanted the
course.
full experience.
We knew to.
I went around and did all the nursery rhymes, which
Okay.
has a huge tie to Control, because you eventually the end game of that is they're all little experiments set up by the Federal Bureau of Control.
FBC.
Yeah, the FBC. There we go.
Bureau of Control. Yep.
To tinker with things in another dimension. and then you finally contact the scientist. I don't know if it's the scientist from Control, but he's like, you got to just move this one last piece and you're going to open the dimension. But it didn't open it for her. It opened it for the scientist and sucked him in. And that's where that storyline ends.
What?
Oh, was it like the scientist?
I
guy
don't
from
know. It
Control?
might have been.
He's mentioned in the game.
So it might have been him that got sucked in, because I know he went missing in Control and they couldn't find him.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So maybe
this
that
might have
was
Stop
her.
reading the refrigerator or whatever.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the fridge guy. It was a different. It was like
Different guy?
Yeah, it was the scientist that.
That's
'cause
my favorite line from Control, by the way.
fridge murdered people.
Oh God, I blanked.
Oh God, I blanked.
Oh God, I'm gonna blink. He just. I love that part of the game. It's so amazing. That whole build up to the
Yeah.
fridge.
Help.
So.
Jesus.
Oh God, I forgot about Gary.
No, the main scientist guy is the one in all the videos.
Oh,
it, it might not be, but it may have been also.
Right.
So I don't know which
That'd be
science.
cool. That'd be cool.
So there was that. I did the whole.
Now that I've beaten it, I'm actually really curious to see like what other people have like gleaned from this. Like, so I'm definitely gonna like watch a bunch of videos and stuff. I didn't have time today.
Yeah.
After I beat the game.
There's another side quest. So I don't know if you've pet any deer heads on any walls.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
tried to pet as
several.
many as I could.
So if you collect them all, and there's this deer head in your mine place,
Yeah.
that you can pet. Once you pet that, you it awakens this noise, and a spirit walks out of the actual lodge deer head. It takes you down the hall to like a locked room and walks in. When you walk in the room, it's a hunter. Because you know how they have Deer Fest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a guy who's been collecting like all these deer. The whole room is lined with deer heads. So it's like the spirit of the deer, just like this, showing you this fucked up guy that lives in town. But it's littered with ammunition, like 20 flares, flare
Okay.
gun like it just gives you a
Interesting.
shit ton of supplies.
Yeah, because that one's weird. It's like the little thing, like you may just be walking into like a room and then you see a deer head and you interact with it. She's like, "You poor thing," and
Right.
she'll just like pet each one, say like some nice words. So I'm like, I'm gonna pet every fucking deer head that I can see. So I didn't know if it would just be an achievement, but to
Yeah.
actually get
Yeah.
something for it.
Well, I think it's an achievement as well. But
Yeah,
you
I
can-
mean, it better be. That's a lot of fucking deer heads. They're all
Yeah.
over the place.
I'm trying to think. There was something else that was with the side stuff. I got all the KC lunch boxes. You don't actually max out all your weapons in the first playthrough,
I figured you couldn't.
so you have to
They were
kind of
pretty
pick and
expensive.
choose. Yeah,
Shotgun, baby.
yeah, absolutely. Shotgun and revolver, the first two, because you know you're going to use them.
Yeah.
Man, what was cool? I know we can talk about this more in the graphics of the game, but there's this entire theme park that's coffee.
Coffee
Coffee
World.
themed.
Coffee World.
Coffee World.
Coffee World.
Covfefe.
By Ilmo and Yako. It's running off. Another one where Morgan's like, "Is that a fucking coffee cup?" It's like, "Yeah, Coffee World." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a theme park." She's like,
It looks
That-
like the coffee cup will eat you too.
"Yeah." She's like, "That looks depressing." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a fucking theme park in the middle of the haunted woods. It's gonna look bad."
Yeah.
And so, okay, so there's also
the well is fucking terrifying in Coffee World.
Oh god,
there's a couple
that-
enemies that crawl out of the well.
that-
No, I
that
understand
battle
but, like,
thing-
can
yeah.
can we talk about like the origins of the fucking well?
The blood well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Sure. It's been a while.
When they make the parade float, the parade float that you like assemble all the pieces to, it's the origins of the well and why they don't pull water from it anymore, because apparently they used to fucking kill people and throw them down the fucking well.
Nice.
And so like they're like, "Oh yeah, but like you can walk right up to it." They didn't like cage it off or seal it.
No.
You just walk up to it, look down, oh, there's, you know.
Yeah, cool.
The
After I
guys at the bottom.
Bones.
Nice.
You have
Yeah.
to descend down it in a loop a couple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
The overlap, which we didn't really talk about, but the overlap is basically you solve a puzzle in an area and then you can go to the dark place as Saga. That was her way of
Yeah, it's like these
traversing.
dimensions kind of overlapping in a way. It's like a
Whoa.
bridge between the two.
Yeah.
Whoa, they
But
overlap.
you would have to do certain things to open the overlap, and one was reconstruct this float of a man stabbing another man to death, and you'd have to find
Throwing
like
him
the
down the
knife, find the like the deer head, like the mask for it, put a soundtrack behind it too. It was
One was so the first time she creates or gets in the overlap, it's the creation of Barbara Jagger was when Thomas Zane had to
put
push
the heart
his
through the hole.
put his hand with the clicker
Yep.
to destroy her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
So you have to take this this FBI guy that washed up on shore. You have to take his heart and read like basically a spell, and then offer it to the witch. And the witch has like a hole in her chest where you can put your face through to like get your picture taken. It's like one of those like wooden boards.
yeah.
But once you do that, it opens up an overlap in a tree next to it.
Yeah, didn't even tell Joe. You open up the game crawling out of like the haunted. I'm just going to call it the haunted lake as a completely naked fat guy.
Oh, and you can see his dick too.
Oh yeah. There was a good
Oh, yeah,
amount of
100%.
Spin, full
You
spin.
should see the physics. So if you do a jog and stop, you get a little flapping going.
Yeah. Attention to detail. There was a lot of dick in this game. Compared to most other games, a lot of dick.
No tits, a lot of dick.
Yeah.
Those finish.
Nice.
Dick's finish.
No, I mean like the controls were pretty straightforward. I can't really think if I've really like sometimes like if you had a weird camera angle, it was hard to like have the prompt trigger to do something. Not often, but at least just like enough to be like, oh, that's kind of annoying. But I mean that happens with like
You have to like back away from it, and walk back up to it and try again.
kind of something like that, or at least like maybe like side shuffle and then just like redirect your camera angle, and then it's just like, oh well, now it pops.
Yeah, there was a couple times using the flashlight, especially with like Alan trying to get like the words of power. You have to hit this thing just right, and it looks like you're shining the light on it, but then you have to take it a little off. Like some of the angles I think were fucked up.
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
some
like
of
where
that.
you're like, oh, you have to aim the small focused light in the middle of your flashlight in the middle of the words, and if you're like slightly off, it's just like, but it like it won't fully go.
Won't go any further.
Yeah.
I did enjoy some of the puzzles. It's because there were like hidden chests that were around too. So some might be you have to find a code. Some locks might just be a symbol. Another one was basically just Simon Says. Like you just had to follow, like put in the same kind of light patterns.
Some were riddles.
Yeah, some were riddles, but it was like one of them I remember, like in Bright Falls, you were like in the forest, kind of down, down like a path, and then there were not only just like arrows that would only illuminate like if you shined your flashlight on them, but then there was like another set of arrows like on the ground where you had to like one led you to a key, and then you had to follow the other arrows to like find the actual like
chest
like
for the
the
key,
chest
whatever.
itself. Yeah. So I mean, I did appreciate like the puzzle portion, and when it came to like the nursery rhymes, because you would have these small figurines and maybe just like stuff drawn in chalk, and then it would say, oh well, the hero had to help the bird keep the wolf away from its house. Just some weird stuff like that. So you would have like three little figurines, and it's like, okay, well, I have something like that's like a bird.
Yeah,
so
that riddle would tell you I gotta order these in a specific way.
Yeah,
or
and there was
something.
always
Yeah.
the same like chalk symbols on the ground. One was
Sure.
like a house, one was a tree, one was the water, a sailboat,
yeah.
sunshine.
So it made you think on some of those. So that was just like another thing. And if you didn't go looking for them, it could be a mechanic that you completely glossed over for the entire game. But
I didn't start finding pieces until it was like basically
Oh,
too
there's
late.
so many
yeah.
dolls to collect
There's
too.
a
And some
lot.
I
you
only
have
found
to-
three. I only found three.
Oh my god, there's like 15 of them. And the
Yeah.
last one you get is fucking scary. I didn't want to use it for anything because it looked like a Slender Man. And I was like,
Oh,
I'm going to
really?
put this on something. Something's going to step through the doorway. Like
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
But some of them were creepy. So, like, when you put the puzzle together, it, like, sends, like, a pulse or something else. And I remember there was the one when you're walking through the woods, and then all of a sudden you complete the puzzle, and then you look around at this, like, cabin or house that you were at, and now there's, like, these dark black, like, wolf prints or just, like,
Oh, yeah.
footprints. And to get your prize, you had to, like, follow it. And then it starts going up the stairs. And, of course, they worked with, like, certain camera angles where you couldn't always see everything right away. So I'm like, I'm going to turn the corner, walk into this door, and something's just going to fucking jump out at me again.
A giant shadow wolf is going to kill me.
Because this is all...
Some of them do spawn shadow wolves.
Like the birdhouse. When you're going through and, like, there was... Because there was the one puzzle where you had to go out into, like, there was, like, the little marshy area, and there was the birdhouse that fell. And when you inspect the birdhouse, you got a charm or something, and as soon as you turn around, there's like 2 fucking shadow wolves just waiting to come at you. Just like, fuck, not again.
You know, actually, actually, does anybody have anything else they want to add for gameplay? Because I was going to mention something graphically, but I was like, yeah, if we're there, we're there. If not, I'll wait.
I think I'm okay because they would just create...
We didn't talk about Alan's writer room at all.
Oh, with his plot board.
Yeah.
It's similar. I would compare it like a simplified version to the Mine Place.
Yeah, but it had a gameplay mechanic.
Well, okay.
Yeah, which actually,
gameplay
yes,
mechanic.
that would be something.
So what Alan would do is he would find scenes, and he would be like, "Oh, okay. So here's like the base scene, but I can't get through anymore. I need to think of a plot device to change the world around me." And then you would investigate clues, you would find like ideas, and then you would apply the idea to the scene. And every single dark place that he was in, it usually would have like 3 or 4 scenes and 3 or 4 plot devices. It would completely change the entire layout.
The whole landscape.
Yeah, open doors, closed doors.
Change like the general theme of the room.
Oh, yeah.
Like towards the end, you get into the hotel, and it's like
That fucking hotel, man.
you're watching a cult play, and it turns out that like the main actor of the cult play is like the devil, and he just decides that I'm going to fucking murder everybody at this fucking play, and so the last thing is like the devil, and you just watch this fucking carnage of bodies, and you climb it all the way to the 6th floor to room 666. Like, it's fucking wild. And it's just all of a sudden this like brightly lit hotel that you had been in this entire time all of a sudden is like just red with blood
and bodies, and it just changes
yeah.
the entire tone, and you're just like, as soon as you switch, because like it's just like, oh, devil plot, and then you come back, you're like, oh, this is bad.
And something else that I noticed in this, and this kind of touches on story, but I wanted to bring it up during how he uses the plot devices. Every single time Wake is trying to advance, I can see how he trapped himself in the lake, because he's like, all right, to go a little bit deeper here, it's gonna get dark, and then it's always something about a fucking murder, and like, and like it just gets darker and darker, and like the imagery.
And I think that's what his wife discovered. He keeps going for the path of destruction,
rather
than uplifting. Yes,
yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like the gameplay mechanic speaks to
what he's manifesting.
Yeah, like what he's manifesting and what he's doing to himself and the people around him. I mean, like, he wrote Saga into the story by killing her daughter and husband.
Yeah.
Like, that's how dark he went, to pull Saga in and to keep her investigating. Like, it's really dark.
Like I feel like in a lot of ways he's at a point, like, just from an outside standpoint, like maybe he should step away from the typewriter, and just let somebody else try to save him, because I think he's doing more harm than good.
Oh yeah,
at this point
he definitely is. I mean, that's basically the end of the first game. Is he did more harm than good, and he is stuck.
Oh yeah.
And in this one, he needed somebody else, and that's again, okay, this is kind of still into the story, but the whole idea of like a collaborative action between which you do you at the end of the game you're profiling Wake from the Mind Place, and you collaborate on the ending that you're coming up with, and I think that's what allows both of them to survive at the end.
Gotcha.
Because Wake needs someone else's perspective to help.
Right. Because obviously it's not going well just on its own.
Right. So
And I think he's approaching the point where Thomas Zane is at, where he just can't even do it anymore.
Can't go at it. Yeah.
So Wake and Saga break the loop, and then Wake, Saga, and Alice change it back to normal and defeat the Dark Presence, basically.
Good call on bringing that up, but I think I'm good on gameplay.
Yeah, I think I'm good on as well.
I did want to bring that up because it is...
No,
that
it's
was
good.
good.
Yeah, no, I think we covered everything then, though. Well, let's do a little dance. I love the moves. Let's talk some graphics.
Graphics.
As well done as the environments are in this game, I don't think there's a lot of them. I think the world is actually, it feels much bigger in Alan Wake 1 because you're traveling long distances. Like when you're exploring environments with Saga, they're like closed little sections of a woods. I don't know, the world feels smaller in this game than it did
Is that
in
because
Alan Wake
mostly
1.
because of the looping, maybe? And you're spending a lot of time in similar, like...
No, they're more well-defined environments. They were pretty generic in a lot of ways in the first one, but the amount of distance you traveled just felt like you were running marathons or like going across an entire mountain range in the first one.
I appreciate that more about the second one.
Okay.
I would rather have a condensed... Like, if you're going to tell a story, especially like this, it can't get too expansive. Because if you get super expansive with a story like this, where you're starting to talk about time and stuff like that, it just starts to get, like, more fringe and more frayed. And, like... So, I personally, I did like... I liked the attention to detail, though. Like, in the environment specifically, everything had meaning. Everything. There were... I was noticing just, like, little things. Like, as you're going through and progressing through the game with Alan, did you notice that, like, all of the street signs change?
Oh, I didn't notice
all
that.
of the posters. All of the posters start telling the story of, like, what's happening or, like, what just happened.
Oh.
Like, when you're going into a building... when you're going into like the Parliament building for like the second or third time, one of the like posters on the side is just like, I didn't think I could write anymore, but I had to keep writing, and I needed Saga to help me. Like, and it was like something that it was a conversation that just had happened.
Gotcha.
And like those small little attention to detail, and like I thought New York was expansive in the Dark Place.
It was pretty large, yeah.
I thought that was a really large area.
And especially when you're like changing the lights, and that's also just changing the environment
we
too.
didn't talk about that mechanic.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Well, I guess it's kind of graphic.
It's
though.
kind of
Yeah.
graphic. So there's like a point while you're walking around with the clicker, you can stand under a street light and
Oh,
basically-
hold on,
Not
it's
the
not
clicker.
not the
not,
clicker.
not the clicker,
It's the
but
lamp.
like he has
It's
his
the lamp.
The lamp. He has
It's
like
Cynthia's lamp.
Is it?
Yes, it's Cynthia Weaver's lamp.
No, I thought that was the lamp that the clicker came from. Like they're separated now, but like
yeah, because they were talking about it. It was broken or at least put into two different pieces.
okay.
I think that came from like the actual lamp, so like the light source. Anyway, so you were walking around with this light source where you could pull light from somewhere, walk around with it. In
It's
the
the
lamp,
item
and,
Ron
like,
had from Harry Potter.
Transfer light.
Yeah.
yeah, and then it's like it's kind of the same thing as like his plot devices, where here's one area where it's like it's still darker, but if you transfer the light up, it opens up a completely different pathway, and sometimes you can just change it from one to the other. So it did make it feel like, even though it was a larger area to walk around, and it wouldn't take too long just in, just running as usual, but by using the lamp and changing it, it's almost like it gave you 2 maps in one.
And there's the whole rooftops. There's, the whole hotel is there. The subway is there. Like, it's a really, like, there's 5 maps in one hub world that is New York, but New York is also part of the puzzle and part of the maps and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. The only thing that I really found, and I'm not sure if it was just improper settings or something else, but some of with the sunlight and the ray tracing, it looked like that glitched out a little bit. In the lodge, it was only like in certain environments. So when it was like evening time in the lodge, and you could see like the sun was kind of setting, so it was like the orange reddish sky,
dusk,
and they would have like a little bit of sunlight still coming into the room in the lodge. It looked like it broke a little bit, where it wasn't
It's like tearing.
yeah, basically, like to an extent. It wasn't like overly bad, but it was enough to be like, oh, that looks off.
It was definitely doing some weird stuff. So like at the end, like I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
like,
cool.
At the end of a light ray, instead of it being light, it would be like a shadow, and you're like, why is that? Like there was weird, like that doesn't make any sense type of like lighting stuff. That's what I noticed anyway.
Yeah.
Or it'd be like it would like
It's
a
almost
light ray would be,
pixelated.
like, particly.
Particly. Yeah, pixelated
Yeah.
seems
Okay,
a little too aggressive, but particle.
Yeah.
Where it was like on a smaller scale, where it's like that's not a ray of light. That's just like
It's a beam of yellow dots.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
it's like you could walk through it and it felt like it almost was like water, that you're walking through as opposed to just like light.
yeah. It wasn't too often, but when it happened, it stood out.
It was noticeable. Yeah.
So, I mean, they were the first ones to really push this on Control, right? That's when, like, ray tracing got really big. Or I thought that was, like, the first big example of it being used.
I don't
One
think.
of.
Yeah.
On consoles, yes.
Okay.
Not on PC. Ray tracing was some other game. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up, but
Yeah, but anyway, like when it came either way, like when it came to the graphics, I'd say the character models look good. This may bleed into sound a little bit, but sometimes like the mouth movements and when like the words were being spoken were off, like it felt like it would actually lag. Sometimes like there was a little bit of a delay. It would catch up with itself. So I don't know if that was necessarily a graphics or sound issue, but sometimes like when Saga and Alex were in the car and talking, like it would be
their lips didn't match the words that they were saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know which category that falls under, but I'll just say it.
That's
now.
like almost like a motion capture thing. I feel like they didn't. I don't know.
It feels like if you're watching a video like on your phone and you have Bluetooth headphones in and there's like that slight delay where it's just not completely matching up. Like it's not like seconds off, but it's just not, and coming.
I was putting it more in the vein that they just did generic mouth movements and didn't even try to make them match
Or
the sounds that they were
motion
making. Like when you
capture.
make an M sound, like what your lips do. I don't
Yeah.
think they were. I think they just used a generic mouth movement.
Oh,
I think.
No, more so what I noticed was like at sometimes in like some of like the cutscenes and whatnot, there was a delay from what was the movement on the screen versus the sound that was coming out of their mouths. But otherwise, I think it looked pretty good. Character models were pretty neat. Monsters were scary. And I feel like they really drove some stuff home, especially Cynthia, like being fucking Jaws in the water after you with the water splashing and shit.
Oh, it was so frightening.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was well done.
You had to jump from like buoy to buoy.
Yeah,
like,
you
running
could
through
not
this
be in the
water.
water. You had to get back up like on a platform because if you
Sure.
stayed in the water, she come get
grab
you.
you, just beat the shit out of you. Yeah. Like took a lot of your health.
Nice.
Battlefield 5 was the first ray tracing game.
Oh, okay.
That's why everybody forgot about it.
Yeah, and you basically needed an RTX 4 or
3000.
3000
Yeah.
to run ray tracing and
Jesus.
Xbox X and PS5 or the first ray tracing consoles. So
Yeah, the consoles. Yeah, I remember that. Being
and Battlefield 5 was out a while before that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty much all I have for graphics.
Yeah, I don't think I have that much more. I like the character models in general, though. Just well defined characters. Nobody looked generic. Like you knew. Well, the townsfolk I think could be passed off as pretty generic.
They were pretty generic.
Yeah.
Except
But your main character, anybody that had like a decent speaking part.
They were generic, but I didn't see the same.
That's true.
Townspeople
it wasn't like
anywhere.
repeat. No.
So actually, speaking, I don't know.
Except for the people in the cups.
There's this one lady character model. So when like I did a lot of running back and forth to make sure I got all like the extras.
Yeah.
So whenever you complete like a zone, the water recedes, and that's how they open up the rest of the map to like they keep you on a pretty tight trail until you complete that area, lower the water, and then you can fully explore it. But there's the town one where
Watery?
Is it yes, Watery. Once you open it up, there's like a lighthouse that's like to the southwest.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go across this like wooden bridge that's closed, and that's how it leads you through Coffee World the first time. And
Yeah.
Anyway, once everything opens up, you can run back through and go. Well, after you go across the bridge, like pretty far away from everything else, there's this one lady character model who's standing in the middle of the road just smoking a cigarette. But like it's always foggy, so it's like you just. I don't know, just slowly come up to this figure, and it's like you think she'd just get fucking murked by something out here, but like
Like a car driving down the middle of the road.
you don't see like a single car driving this entire game.
No.
Besides
No.
like the cutscenes.
Yeah, yours.
Yeah.
Cars only drive when I drive.
I don't know, just that one like character just stood out because she's always standing out in the darkness, just smoking a cigarette.
Weird.
Hey, she just needs a dart, man.
Sorry, that's the last thing I had to say for graphics, though. You know what? Let's turn on the jukebox and talk audio.
Audio.
Ooh, nice.
Not listen to some audio. Let's talk some audio.
We'll talk some audio. I mean, technically, it's still true.
It's also yes.
Discuss audio.
The soundtrack in We Sing is probably the best piece of audio in this entire game.
It's tough for me. I love the Herald of Darkness song, but some of the in between chapters
Yeah.
music is fucking incredible. I have like 7 songs from this game on a playlist that like I listen to like regularly, and like it's just like my gen pop, like all of my liked songs, all 560 or 700 of them, or whatever the fuck, however many I have, but like it'll just be in like constant rotation now for me.
And so here's so I love the music in this game. We'll talk about like the dialogue later. So there is something that preparing for this game, I knew an aspect I liked about the first one is the first game is cut into 6 chapters. And at the end of each chapter, it leads off with this last scene while bleeding into like that like awesome soundtrack song for that thing. But there's 6 of them, so they really stand out. There was 19 chapters in this game. So rather than having a handful stand out, I think it got a little diluted by having so damn many. I wish they would have maybe just cut down the chapters and picked some of the more memorable songs, and I think it just would have had more of an impact for me. And like the whole thing, it felt like I guess Twins Peak thing like previously on, and each one like it felt like like you were watching a TV show. And I wish they would have
on Alan Wake.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved that about the first game, and I missed that. I wish they would have played into that again.
I don't think you can do that in this one.
It feels different than
It
the
does.
first one in a lot of ways.
It definitely does. It's less campy. This one's definitely less campy.
It is.
Which again, I can appreciate. it. I will say something interesting that I noticed, because I feel like I played the game like chapter breakdown wise like semi the right way, because I got to the point where it was like I did one of Saga's, and then I got the question like, are you ready to do this? Because this is like, we're going to go to the beach and we're going to bring Alan back.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, hold up, not going to do that yet. I got Alan progressed to a pretty decent point, and then where he couldn't go anymore, and then I went back and it was like Saga, Alan,
One to one.
Saga to end the game. And I thought that was like the best way to do it. Like play
exactly how I did it.
Play a bunch of Saga, then play a bunch of Alan, then just I felt like it was the best narratively. It really felt like the story was still bouncing around there.
Right.
And what that has to do with audio is something that I noticed. Something that I noticed is that Alan's in between story chapters has this same old song about looping in between every one of his later chapters until you get to where Saga pulls him out, and then he gets new original music.
I thought there was some repeat,
Yes.
and I didn't pick up on that, but I was like, I thought I heard this song already.
It's a loop that goes on forever. It's the first lyric of the song, and it's every single time until Alan starts breaking down the loop and it becomes a spiral.
Huh.
That is probably why you're thinking that, but there's actually only, I think, like 8 to 10 songs in the game.
Okay.
Not including the old gods of Asgard, and not including We Sing.
And yeah, they slipped Poets of the oh shit. The song I really like from the first game too was on the jukebox as
Yes. Yep. That's the original one that's playing. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting to go back and like see the catalog, because like after you do like the rock out with the old gods of Asgard on the beach, you unlock their entire catalog, and they're like, oh, here's like the 7 songs by them from Alan Wake 1, Alan Wake 2, and stuff that they just did for funsies. Yeah. So like,
well. Oh, the song from Control.
yeah, the song
Makes
from
an-
Control makes an appearance.
Okay.
Take Control.
Take control.
I definitely don't listen to that song.
They're such a good band in general, man.
They are. They're great. They're fucking fantastic. Finnish metal. I'll take it all day.
Oh God, yes.
So like, I appreciated a lot of the music, and I was like, the first time it happened where it was the same song for Alan, I was like, well, that sucks. Saga had a different song between each one, and then it happened a third time, and I'm like, oh, they're doing a thing. They're doing a thing. And then when it changed for Alan, that resonated with me like, oh, I'm finally getting somewhere with Alan.
Gotcha.
And I was in the story.
Yeah.
But that was like my it was almost like my previously on and on the next, like it was my preview of like you're starting to change
You're
the story.
progressed. Yeah.
Just real quick, I do want to summarize that because you didn't play this portion, but you're playing a concert on the beach of the lake. Tor and Odin, they're doing it on the top of their RV,
Yes.
or something like
Okay.
that. And you're just getting waves of dudes coming out of the lake, and you're just like
Casey-
you're getting help from people that are throwing flares. It's-
Casey and Estevez from the FBC.
Yeah.
She has a spotlight, and Casey, they're both up there. Casey's throwing flares. Estevez is moving the spotlight around, taking people
and
out.
they're jamming out music because that's their art form.
Yeah, their art.
You get another set
fight.
piece like that, like
Yeah.
from the first game.
That's fucking cool.
But it's weird. It's to bring Alan out of the dark place. That's where they're putting the But so we never talked about this in story. The dark place, there is no
Time doesn't exist.
time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So when you bring Alan out, it's actually like days earlier, and that's the
When you
scene
bring
when
him out-
Alan actually comes out of the water.
Yeah.
The timelines don't match up between what your experience playing with Alan and what you're playing with Saga.
Right.
It's not a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
So, I just thought that was a neat little thing.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a fun scene, though.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. Not as good as We Sing, but it was still
No.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool
not
scene.
as good as We Sing, and not as good as the original. Like the scene on the beach is not as good as the scene on the farm.
Oh, with the
Yeah, the
yeah,
concert
yeah,
at the
yeah,
farm was
yeah,
fucking
yeah, that was dope.
amazing.
With the fireworks.
Yeah, the
And
fireworks.
Barry was there, so
But it was still cool nonetheless. And I mean, Tor and Odin are two of my favorite characters in the game.
oh, they're really
Shocker, but no, they are really awesome. Yeah,
for real,
just-
like they're just cool characters. I
They
like
gave him a
that
much bigger part than in the first game.
and I fucking love that. Like I loved what they're doing too. And like there's so many different things where it's so many references to the actual like Norse gods with them too. Like certain little things like Odin missing an eye, him constantly talking about birds.
Yeah.
He's always pissed off about the ravens and stuff like that because like Odin had a raven.
Yeah.
You don't know this actually because you didn't hear the backstory, but like Tor to send Walder Door into the dark place. I don't know if you read it in one of the manuscripts, but he hit him with a bolt of lightning that Tor actually created.
Yeah, with the hammer, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was talking about how he was using the hammer to call lightning in the nursing home, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta get him the fuck out of here."
Yeah, he's running around just smashing shit with his hammer.
That's when they took him to the you're reading the manuscript of when they took him to the wellness center.
Yeah.
And they're talking about him having lightning running through his veins and stuff. And I just think that is so fucking rad. It is just so goddamn cool. Finish rock and roll and Norse mythology. Let's fucking go. I'm a goddamn nerd.
I don't think we need to spend too much time on it, but I think the voice acting was just out of this world.
Again, it's
Very well done.
Especially bringing back the voice of Max Payne to play Alex Casey. Like, we've loved that guy's voice since day one.
Yeah.
Just bringing back the original cast, minus, there's nothing you can do about the character who played Alice Wake passing, but I think they got a great replacement for her.
I appreciate actually bringing someone in instead of trying to do the AI shit that they're doing now, where it's just like someone passed, like, oh, well, we can still recreate them. It's like, no, don't fucking do that.
Yeah, don't recreate their voice
You
and
know,
stuff like that.
so
Like,
so
just,
yeah,
like,
trying to bring back having the original cast as much as you can.
I actually
anyway.
do appreciate too that they didn't make a digital version of her, to like, out of respect for the because I think the original was like voice acted by the actor that did the screen capture for the character, and they didn't recreate her, so they just had a new actor come in, and
try to get as
play.
close as possible. And,
just like, oh, you kind of you look like her. We just need you to play this part.
It's 13 years later or whatever it may
Yeah.
be, so it's
Yeah.
like we can.
Fudge factor.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can appreciate that. Like they're like paying the respect by like, we didn't recreate you. We're just using a different version of you for this different version of Alice, basically.
Yeah.
And I think so. This is kind of the category for. I just want to give a special shout out to like the dialogue writing in general. I think it was just the script was just like perfect. I think it's a little convoluted with some of the profiling. I think that she does like it's not spot on. I don't know. It's like almost poetic in a way, like the way it's
not
cryptic.
It's not meant to be a conversation. She's not having actual conversations. Basically, the whole idea of like the profiling, things like that, is really you're gleaning information off of something that someone told you, and the prompts that she's using that are like next to the pictures. That's her recalling information with that as the driven purpose. So it's like, oh, I know this person well enough. Like, what would they say if I asked them this? And also there is some supernatural element to her gleaning the information, but that's the general idea of profiling in general.
Right.
Cool.
Criminal Minds.
Anything else for audio, gents? Joe, do you want to give your piece?
Nope.
No,
I'm
Okay.
good.
All right.
Well,
All right.
we did take a break and played you the song. What did you think of the song, at least?
I mean, it's cool. I'm gonna watch the video
All right,
tomorrow, probably.
Okay.
Cool.
There you go.
Fair
You
enough.
should do it tonight, Joe.
Nah, definitely not.
It's getting a little late.
I know. I
It's
can see
getting
you
late.
fade, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Joe's not doing a lot of talking, so he's fading fast.
Yeah, I know how he gets when it gets too late.
No, that's me.
True story.
And I'm good. It's fucking late. I'm ready to go home.
All right, let's head into the basement to change the lights and talk about our final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
We'll end with you, Joe. So, Steve, what did you think first?
I mean, this was a fucking roller coaster of a game. Just between trying to decipher the story, starting to crack open the story, think you start to understand it, and then it just tells you, no, that's not it at all. It's a thinker, man, and it's a thinker that'll make you piss your pants every once in a while. So I mean, it's it's captivating. I think I can't find a better word to describe it than just captivating, just between being able to explore the lore of things, the twists, the turns, and then, again, the peeing of pants. It's just well done, and I know I did not get the chance to finish this, and this is one where I think I might actually just start from the beginning again so I can play it the way that I would like to, because there was a point where it was like, after the first couple chapters, I'm like, I'm spending way too long looking for everything. I am going to turn this into like a 45-hour game. And I mean, I wasn't even able to complete it, and that was trying to stick to like the main points, and I found that for the way I like to play games, that was hard for me to do, because I wanted to know. I want to know the story. I want to find the manuscripts. I want to be able to finish my case boards. But no, I was, for as much as I said, the anxiety of just while playing this game, you know, it still drew me back in despite that. It was just fucking well done.
I would almost say just try to power through what you have left, and then in the final chapter,
and the plus,
go for everything.
Yeah,
you know, that's true.
Probably the way to do
that's
it.
true, because
at least
there'll
you
be
can
a little extra too. Then.
Yeah, if everything would still be
lanyard on
available,
top.
then it feels like you didn't necessarily miss everything, and then you can get some more on top of it. So actually, yeah, good call. I think I'll at least get to that, and then just do it again better.
So I'll do my final thoughts, then we'll go to you and then go to Joe. So I was so worried about this game. It could have so easily have really fucked up my day, especially waiting 13 years. I was just banking. So not only did it exceed my expectations, it didn't even go the path I was thinking it was going to go, and in a good way as well. Like it opened the door for just so many possibilities, and I just love how it brought in so many characters, and I like how everybody's battling the darkness on their own terms throughout their own means. Somebody's fighting it through photography and writing and music and film and some are assisting others, and I just like how everybody's coming together like for this common cause, and it feels like, you know, I made this thing like I think the Avengers influenced them not only to build this universe, but just how everybody is uniting with their own little power towards this greater cause as well. It's just really cool to kind of see how everything came together, and I thought they were very careful to not leave any loose ends, and I could really appreciate that having watched Lost. Just how much respect I have for somebody that can go and put caps on all these ends.
I to this day have not watched the last 3 episodes of Lost.
Oh boy, I mean I needed to at this point.
I didn't need to. I heard about the route that they were going, and I was like, nope.
I'm just really impressed with what they did here. And just for the record, I mentioned this earlier. Like, I know it was a horror game, but I didn't find it that incredibly scary. I've played much scarier horror games, so that's my thoughts. Mr. Clark?
Yeah, like you, I was like really worried that this was going to kind of fall flat. I was, and it absolutely delivered everything that I would expect from this. There was things that I thought I knew that I didn't know, and there were things that I like picked up along the way that I was like, oh my god, that's like fucking amazing, like, and just what they're building in the multiverse, the Remedyverse that they're doing is just, I have the utmost faith in them. I haven't played a game of Remedies that I didn't really enjoy, you know? And the only one that I can think of was like heavily Rockstar driven that I didn't like in Max Payne 3. I mean, I still liked the game. It wasn't the best of the three, you know what I mean? But that was like very heavy Rockstar. Anyway, yeah, like Alan Wake 2 exceeded every single one of my expectations for what I was thinking of in a sequel. And again, this will be the last comparison that I have for Twin Peaks while I'm speaking about this game. but no, listen.
Came back again.
Listen, the first two seasons of Twin Peaks are the campy, funny, soap opera-y mystery.
Okay.
That's Alan Wake 1. This is Twin Peaks The Return, which is the everything goes fucking haywire, batshit crazy. We're going to talk about time. We're going to talk about universes. We're going to talk about fucking parallel dimensions. We're going to talk about the big bad, like the big bad, and the darkness within inside all of us. And that is Alan Wake 2. And on par, same level of interest in both of these, like where Twin Peaks, Alan Wake 1 and 2, Control, Max Payne. I'm here for all of it.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So after our discussion tonight, Joe, what opinions do you have walking away?
I mean, I'm very intrigued by the Remedy universe that they've been like building. Obviously a big fan of the Max Payne games. Loved Control. I didn't play Alan Wake 1, which is why I was like okay with just sitting this one out. Because like ideally I would want to play 1. At this point, honestly, I don't think it's ever going to happen, so I'll probably just watch a Let's Play. But the second one is definitely like, it's been intriguing me quite a bit. Seeing the things online about it and stuff like that, and then just understanding the universe and just kind of like, because if they do a Control 2, I'm going to want to play it, and like it's going to tie into this even more, so I might as well just fucking buy in.
Control 2 was confirmed.
Yeah,
So-
it is. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
That'll be the next game. So it's probably going to have. I think that's where they're going to pull in Max Payne. Personally, I'm
can see
calling my shot. They have the licensing now. They have a game that's far enough out. I'm calling it now.
I
That's
wonder
where
what the
it's
object of
happening.
power is, though. Like, is it the gun? Is it?
Maybe it's his jacket.
It could be. It could be the. Because I mean, Max Payne 3 isn't really canon, would be my guess. So
Yeah.
it would be 1 and 2, and he's wearing the fucking jacket.
It could be the fucking his watch. Because bullet time.
Oh yeah, that could be.
Could be.
He always talks about the watch that his wife gave him. That's broken that he wears.
Ooh,
I
I love theorizing.
Well, this whole table just lifted 3.5 inches all around.
Oh boy. And so building off of your thoughts though, Joe, I don't necessarily think you need to play Alan Wake 1, but you
Yeah.
definitely need to know the story of Alan Wake 1.
Okay.
I think to really appreciate this one. Because
And if you're gonna play it, play the remaster. There's an
Yeah, I'm
up-resed,
not gonna play it.
upscaled. version.
yeah, I don't think he's
I'm
gonna
just
play
saying.
it. Period.
Well,
But
if you're gonna look at the Let's Play, watch that version.
Oh,
It'll be
okay.
a little,
That's fair.
it'll
Okay.
it'll,
That's
it'll
fair.
be a little less drastic of a jump.
Transition.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
okay, cool.
You could always watch a no commentary one too. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
If I ever watch gameplay of something, I try to find something that's like no commentary, so I can just like watch the game.
The actual
It's
game.
more immersive. Yeah.
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 Cool. Any other thoughts though, Joe? Or?
No, I mean, obviously it got critical acclaim, so I was definitely curious what, your guys' opinion was. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to reviews too. I just needed to absorb everything Alan Wake 2, like after beating the game. I don't know. There was a couple trash talkers out there, but I really disagreed with a lot of their points when I was listening to their episode.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck them. That's Harry. It's like, that's bullshit.
There are probably people that got a lot of clicks theorizing, because I know, like, one of the big things that I saw in an interview is, like, Sam Lake was doing an interview where he was speaking about fan theories for Alan Wake 2, and they were going through a bunch of, like, the popular ones, and they're like, oh, it's this, and he's just like, oh, I have some things to change then. Because he didn't want it to be any of the fan theories. He didn't like any of the fan theories, so he wanted to make it different.
He goes like, oh, no, fuck you.
He did an incredible job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. And I'm going to be sad when, like, honestly, I would think Remedy might be in trouble when he retires. Not saying he's super old, but he's not super young either.
It depends. He has sub-writers now. He's not even...
I don't know. I feel like he is solely the creative force in that company.
I don't know that he wrote Control. I think the person that co-wrote Alan Wake 2 with him is the person that wrote Control.
Okay.
Yeah, let's...
Yeah, that's fine. All right. I think it's time to put our finger on the clicker and push it for the score.
The score.
Steven.
Just like Emma Stone, easy A.
Nice. Clark.
It's the movie, easy A. She was in the movie.
Must buy.
Yeah, adding like a new category onto your...
Yep. Deal with it.
I don't think it's... I'm giving it a 10. 10 out of 10. Not a lot of games have made it up to that.
Oh, look, it won some more awards.
Well, I'm just going to say it's... What else is a 10 out of 10? There's other games.
Lollipop Chainsaw.
That's a good game. I think I put like Left 4 Dead 10. I don't think I gave Alan Wake 1 a 10 out of 10.
I don't think it did, but two came back with the redemption or the return.
Until Dawn was a 10.
Yeah, it's up there.
Detroit might have been a 10. Anyway, it's getting a 10 out of 10. I was just thoroughly impressed with this game. I can't gripe about anything.
No, dig it.
Cool. Well, I'm glad we shed some light on Alan Wake 2 this evening.
And thank you for everybody. I know this episode has been a little delayed. It's just been a hell of a fucking winter schedule. So, our bad, but here it is. We'll be back mostly on track.
Well, very well. Well, thank you for tuning in this episode. We'll see you in 2 weeks for an episode of
Loser. Stay lovely.
Stay sexy.
Love you guys.
Stay safe.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media and all streaming platforms at Superfun Podcast for more episodes. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend about us and consider becoming a Patreon member for more exclusive content.